Welcome, everyone. We are just about to get started with our 2026 PANAcon Virtual Narrator Showcase. A few more minutes left.
Doors are opening now.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are just letting everyone in. All the narrators are filing into the room. You can say hello in the chat. All the narrators coming in, say hello and where you're from. And we'll go over all the rules in just a second. Okay, people coming in from all over the states. We have Canada, UK, NYC, Canada again. Denver. Long Island, New York. Yes, we do have two chats going on, one here in the Zoom, and then there is the YouTube chat where we are streaming. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so narrators who have come in, if you would keep yourself muted and cameras off. Okay, and we are ready to begin. Welcome, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2026 PANAcon Virtual Narrator Showcase. My name is Corinne Paul, and we are so excited to have 80 narrators performing a 1.5-minute piece for you throughout the show. Each narrator will introduce themselves and tell us where they're from, the genre, book title, and author of their piece. We are streaming live to our YouTube channel at PANAcon Conference. If you happen to miss any part of the show, the full video of the showcase will be there when we are done. Be sure to like and follow while you're there. And remember, this is part of our PANAcon Conference Week, and we're celebrating narrators, narration, and the human voices only tonight. So we would like to give a big heartfelt thanks to Chicago Audiobooks for sponsoring our showcase. And now, here is a special video message from Chicago Audiobooks.
That video is loading now. One moment, please.
Okay, no problem. So narrators, you can keep active in the chat. And we also have YouTube chat going on over there for the live stream. And narrators are invited to go over there after they perform, put their information in the YouTube chat.
Hi folks, I'm Mike Shirokov, and I'm really excited to be sponsoring today's event. My company is Chicago Audiobooks LLC, and for the past 15 years, we've been proofing, editing, mastering for big publishers, independent publishers, and independent narrators. We've worked on many thousands of books, including a Grammy winner and a bunch of Audio Award winners. When I was a kid, I remember seeing hair transplant commercials on TV, and they would always say, "You've never seen a great hair transplant, because if it's great, you're not going to know it's a hair transplant." So that's kind of the same thing about great post-production. If everything sounds right, it just sounds like you're sitting in the room with a person and they're reading you a story. You're not going to hear the S sounds cutting your ears. You're not going to hear any words getting cut off by a gate. Your ears are not going to be fatigued by compression. My editing and mastering process is incredibly complex. It's about 12 steps that I do, but you're not going to hear that in the final product. Great post-production is the intersection of preserving the performance while maintaining listener comfort and meeting the specifications. And it has to sound great across all listening devices. When I studied music technology at New York University, we talked about classical music and how the goal is concert realism. And that's the experience that I wanted to bring to audiobooks, where you're just sitting in a room listening to a story without any distractions from the post-production side of things. The greatest compliment was I was at the Audio Awards one time, and a top producer from one of the big publishers came up to me and said, "People are saying that you really care about all the books you work on, and this is why I want you to handle a large number of our books." I'm really happy that my values are coming across in the work that we put out. If you'd like to get in touch with me about proofing, editing, mastering, studio evaluations, you can find me at chicagoaudiobooks.com. Thanks so much.
He's so good.
And he's a nice guy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Again, many thanks to Chicago Audiobooks for sponsoring. And we are now ready to begin. We will be bringing up one narrator at a time to perform for their 1.5 minutes after their introduction. And we have first up is David Winter, followed by Helen Rygh-Pedersen, and following her will be Melanie Crawley. So, David, why don't you tell us all about yourself and intro your book, please? And then I'll start the timer.
I'm David Winter in London, and I will be starting the showcase off with a children's story, The Bumble Bear by Nadia Shireen.
Wonderful.
Once there was a bear called Norman who loved honey. He really, really, really loved it. And he was always sad when it ran out. But getting hold of more honey was always a bit tricky. "If only I could be a bee," he sighed. I could have as much honey as I liked. And then Norman had a quite amazing and brilliant idea. It was an ordinary morning at bee school. "Hello, bees," said the Queen, who was in charge. "We have a new bee at bee school today." "Ooh," said the little bees. "Everyone say hello to Norman." "Hello," said Norman. "Ooh," said the little bees. "Aren't you a bit big?" asked Amelia, who was a rather clever little bee. I'm a special bee," said Norman. "I come from a land far, far away called Giant Bee Land." Said Amelia. But then it was time for lessons to start. They began the day with some painting. Then Norman joined in with buzzing practice, bzz, 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 before everyone settled down for a nap.
Wonderful way to start, David. Right on time. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Up next is Helen, followed by Melanie, and Lily Mordaunt will be coming in after that. Is Helen here? Oh, I see you, Helen. Just waiting for the spotlight. Wonderful. There you go. Helen, tell us about yourself and your book, and you may get started.
Hi, I'm Helen Rygh-Pedersen. I'm a British narrator living in Norway, and I'll be reading from Trial by Fury, which is a historical paranormal mystery by Saffron Amati. As Madame Foxglove supposedly opened herself up to the spirit world, reaching out beyond the veil for the fictional Hetty Jenkins Blackwell, Lucas's heart froze, because for the first time in his life, he saw the veil, the one he'd thought was nothing more than a metaphor for death. It appeared flimsier than the finest silk gauze, but bowed under the dozens upon dozens of souls dragged into it by the chanting at the head of the table. Unlike the lifelike ghost Lucas was used to, these spirits were swirling fog with only the faintest hint of colour, roughly human shapes, there for an instant before spreading to nothingness as the next soul was yanked through them towards this near-invisible barrier behind the oblivious Madame Foxglove. Their voices were faint whispers on the edge of hearing, but full of agony and fear, sometimes angry, sometimes terrified, desperate screams, but always unintelligible. Were they trying to get through, or were they resisting? It was impossible to say, but regardless, Lucas watched indistinct faces swim in and out of focus. Men, women, children, even pets, compressed and scared and helpless because of Madame Foxglove's séance. "Oh my God," breathed Lucas.
Thank you, Helen. Wonderful. And we are going to bring up Melanie next, followed by Lily, and on deck will be Robyn, Maryke.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's Melanie. Hi there, Melanie Crawley here. I'm from Sheffield in the north of England in the UK. This is a work of literary fiction, a book set in Croatia. It's called the Dubrovnik Book Club by Eva Glynn.
A trigger. I think that is the best way to describe it, but not just a big one. A series of smaller things, one after the other. Tell me.
She clutched her fingers more tightly around her glass.
The first was on Tuesday night. I go to a book club, and the next novel we are meant to read is set in Sarajevo during the siege. Sarajevo was my home, but I have never been back there, not even when my father died. I could not bear to pick up the book But all the same, the memories began to creep back. Good ones or bad ones?
She shook her head again, trying to clear it.
Good ones, I suppose. We left before anything really bad happened. So, things you have lost?
God, yes. What had she lost? At that moment it felt like everything, and tears threatened again. She grabbed the nearby tea towel and wiped them away.
Let them come, Carmela. No, no, I want to finish telling you, or I might never start again. You see, the biggest things I lost were my family and my friends. My dearest friends. One died. The other, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Wonderful. All right, coming up next, we have Lily is up, followed by Robyn, and Tara-Louise is on deck. So Lily, up. There we go. Please tell us your name and all about your read, and you may get started.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, my name is Lily Mordaunt. I'm an American narrator living in England. My genre today is cozy fantasy, and I'm reading from the novel The Lone Wolf Cafe by Sydney Wilder. In the distance, I heard a faint rumble of chattering voices, and to my surprise, a gaggle of human tourists were clustered near the parking lot. They were all facing the same direction we were, their eyes locked on the horizon as they held those strange rectangular devices up in the air. What are they doing here? I asked, trying and failing to hide the disgust in my voice. Oh, I forgot to mention, Rowena chuckled. This place is a popular destination for tourists. This early in the morning? And won't they notice us sitting here? I doubt it, Rowena shrugged. We're pretty tucked away back here, and we look like normal humans right now anyway. Hey, look, it's happening. I lifted my head, and my eyes widened. The sky was on fire. The whole horizon line, sprawling along the edge of the sea, was illuminated in hues of orange and red. The shrubby trees and rocks below us were mere black silhouettes against the blazing intensity of the sky. It was mesmerizing. Then it appeared. A tiny yellow sliver, pure liquid and wobbling in my vision, was spread on the horizon like melted butter. It continued to lift, rounding as it grew, until my eyes stung from the burning light.
Nice, Lily. Right on time. Thank you so much. And up next, we have Robyn Maryke, followed by Tara-Louise.
Open participant
And
from
on deck
from Holly Haverkorn, my audio button.
is Holly. Okay, tell us all about your book or your read.
My name is Robyn Maryke. I'm from Toronto, Ontario. I will be reading from a dystopian romance entitled Bound by Kaye Riley. Mm-hmm. Bastian gives me a dubious look. You're no flirt, he says. Thank God. But I suggest you get to know David. He's on the lookout for a spouse. My heart sinks. You're saying...
Okay, I need to practice. Okay.
Sorry. You're saying you think I should consider attaching myself to this man? A member of the High Council, of all things? I'm saying you could do worse. Something inside me threatens to explode when I say, I see. And why, exactly, would a man of his status want to be with a lowly servant? Because eventually he'll discover what you are, and there is nothing greater in the Peaks than for an important man to pair himself with a rare female blade. I grind my jaw, staring at the far wall and fighting back tears. What's wrong? Bastian huffs. Are you upset that I'm scheming to marry you off to a wealthy, powerful man? I lock eyes on him and say, Of course I am. What the hell do you expect from me? Gratitude? Well, yes, he says, looking either baffled or amused. I'm trying to keep you safe. You're trying to seal my fate. I'd rather spend my life on the run than end up with a man who isn't... I realize too late what I'm saying and shake my head, sealing my mouth shut. Isn't what? Bastian asks, his look of bewilderment replaced by a knowing expression. Isn't suitable for me.
Ooh, thank you. Nice job, Robyn. And up next, we have Tara-Louise Kaye, followed by Holly Haverkorn, and on deck, Josh Innerst. Just a reminder to all narrators, check to make sure that you are muted. Everyone should be muted during the whole showcase unless you're up on stage. All right, take it from here and tell us about your read, and you may get started.
Hi, I'm Tara-Louise Kaye from London. I'm reading Historical Romance by Amanda Mariel. Oops. He took her hand, holding it as if she might vanish. They both waited until she withdrew. You could have refused. I was advised, he replied, that you are not easily dissuaded. Your informant was correct. She tugged at the thumb of her glove, peeling it away, finger by finger, her gaze locked onto his face. Her bare hand was pale, nerves dancing just beneath the surface. Did you bring your nerve? I thought this was a social call. She laughed. William? He dropped his gaze for a moment, and when he looked up, the fire had turned his eyes the colour of glass. If it is a document you want, he said, I have brought nothing. I prefer to conduct business openly. Liar! She rose, her movement crafted to draw his attention. She closed the distance between them, stopping just shy of propriety. You have never done anything openly. He stood firm. Neither have you. That is precisely why I invited you to join me here. She pressed her ungloved hand to his chest, not over his heart, but just beneath the second button of his waistcoat. Do you trust me? He inhaled, and for the first time, uncertainty clouded his usual irony. No, he admitted, but I want to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tara-Louise. And we would like to bring up our next narrator. Holly Haverkorn is up. Josh Innerst is on deck with Sheree Galpert following him. All right, tell us your name, where you're from, and about your read.
Hi, I'm Holly Haverkorn. I'm coming to you guys from Monument, Colorado. I'm going to be doing a romantic comedy snippet from a book called A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings. Harper stared at her closet. What the hell did people wear on dates? To a grocery store. As Harper flicked her way through her pitiful wardrobe for the 67th time, she decided she needed to stop messing around and call in a pro. She reached for her phone and FaceTimed Thu. After a few rings, her friend picked up. Hey, dude. Hey, I may or may not be in panic mode, Harper said, digging through her drawers as she clutched a towel around herself. What's wrong? Thu asked, rifling through her nail polish bottles, only half listening. I have no idea what to wear. What does anyone wear when their closet is 90% scrubs? What do people our age even shop for clothes? Dark web, mainly. Thu propped her phone against the wall, her attention now fully absorbed in painting her toenails. I'm serious. Help me, Harper whined. Want to borrow my teddy tassels? Thu asked, not even bothering to look up. Harper sighed. You're useless. Bye. Sorry. Thu looked at the camera. Let's decide on a vibe. Tell me what you're going for. Harper chewed on her bottom lip. I don't know. Is dental student chic a vibe? No, it's an oxymoron. Harper started slowly banging her head against her closet door. She felt nervous and queasy and was about 3 minutes away from canceling the whole thing.
All right, nice. Thank you so much, Holly. We'd like to call Josh Innerst up on the stage, followed by Sheree, and Emily Ellet is on deck. All right, Josh, tell us name, where you're from, and all about your read.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Josh Innerst. I am based in the Midwest in Cleveland, Ohio. I'll be reading from If I Go Down with This Ship by Colby Wilkins. It's a historical romance, time travel thingamajig.
Okay.
Are you all right? Hux asks. That's when I hear it. There's a crack, a deep, billowing sound from somewhere nearby. I don't want to look, but I can feel myself turning towards the foremast. There are people up there, holding on for dear life just moments after tying down the sails. Halfway up the mast, the wood splinters. What do we do? I gasp. If Hux can hear me, he shows no sign, makes no move to do anything, to say anything. Don't move, Mick calls as the men search frantically for a way down. His deep voice is assertive as he crosses toward Hux. Command your men, he growls, or they'll die. You think I know what the hell I'm doing? The shorter man says. I don't know how to do this. Mick grabs him by the shirt. You think any of us do? Mick, I say, holding up my hands as if to stop him. They're dead already, Hux screams. And I hate to admit it, but he's right. It's too late. The foremast snaps with a final, ear-splitting crack. A man screams, and then he drops. He falls too slowly, slow enough that I wonder if we could have saved him. But then he slams into the rail with a crack before flipping over the side and sinking into the water.
Okay, thank you so much, Joshua. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Up next, we have Sheree Galpert as she makes her way up. Then Emily Ellet is next, followed by Rosemary Cline on deck. All right, Sheree, tell us all about yourself and your read.
Hello, everybody. Koren, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you for getting my name right. Sheree
Yes,
Galpert.
indeed.
I live in Newton, Massachusetts, just outside Boston. I've got a cozy by Anne B. Ross called Miss Julia Speaks Her Mind. Everybody in the room was aware that the flimsy piece of pink paper was of great import. Binky said, "What is it?" "A handwritten will," Sam said. "Wesley Lloyd Springer wrote it the night he died. It says that Mr. Springer left his entire estate to his son, little Lloyd here." Dead silence as everyone looked at the boy, except me, who was still trying to control the trembling as I waited to feel their pity directed my way. "What?" Pastor Ledbetter was the first to find his voice. "Why, that can't be. Can he do that? Is that thing legal?" "As legal as it can get," Sam said. "I can attest to the signature." Brother Vern approached Sam. "Spell that out for me, if you will, brother." "It simply means that the boy inherits his father's estate when he reaches maturity. Everything. That's what it says." "Lord be praised, child," he said, turning a benevolent face toward little Lloyd. "You have been blessed beyond belief. Hazel Marie, you're gonna need help raising this boy. It's a great responsibility, but I'm here to help every step of the way." Thank you.
Right, thank you. Right on time, Sheree. Wonderful. Let's see, we are moving on. Emily Ellet is up, followed by Rosemary Cline, and Sarah Hannan is on deck. Emily, tell us about yourself and your read.
Hi, I'm Emily Ellet. I'm coming to you from Denver, Colorado today. I'm going to be doing a cozy mystery by Laura Bradford called A Plus One for Murder. At Dottie's nod, Emma took yet another bite of scone. "You mean the book you sent me home with yesterday?" "I did start reading it, actually. It's more entertaining than I expected it to be." "You have no idea." Dottie pushed her own plate off to the side, in favor of the notebook and pen her housekeeper magically produced on some silent cue. You've surely read enough to know that identifying the true culprit isn't always as easy as it may seem at first. Emma stared down at the rest of her scone, her appetite suddenly gone. Even if the evidence against one particular person seems pretty damning, even if. A glance at Stephanie yielded a nod of agreement. Ugh! Emma slumped back against her chair, defeated. I so wanted to be done with all of this. We don't, Stephanie said, earning an emphatic nod from Dottie. So, what did your own personal shadow get on the sheriff? Anything? The sheriff? Dottie echoed. It was Stephanie's turn to nod. That's right. He was one of the 4 people pictured on the paper Brian gave to Emma right before he got on stage that night. Dottie's eyes shot back to Emma. Mr. Hill gave you a piece of paper with pictures on it before he died? Emma didn't tell you this? Stephanie asked, leaning forward in excitement. Oh, Dottie, you've so got to hear this.
Nice. Thank you so much, Emily. All right. Up next is Rosemary Cline. And as she's getting ready, let's see, I'd like to say that Sarah Hannan is next. And Jerry Harris is on deck. All right, Rosemary, tell us about yourself and your performance.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm Rosemary Cline, and I am on Eastern Long Island in New York. This is a fantasy piece from The Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern. The intensity of his eyes and his touch rushes over Seal like a wave, and she takes her hand from him before it pulls her under. Have you come to show me your own feats of illustrious illusion? She asks. It was not on my agenda for the evening, but if you would like. You already watched me. It would only be fair. I could watch you all night, he says. You have, Sia says. You've been in every single audience this evening. I noticed. She stands and walks to the center of the circle, turning so her gown swirls around her. I can see every seat, she says. You are not hidden from me when you sit in the back row. I thought I would be too tempted to touch you if I sat in the front, Marco says, moving from his chair to stand at the edge of the circular performance space, just inside the first row of chairs. Am I close enough for your illusion? She asks. If I say no, will you come closer? He retaliates, not bothering to hide his grin. In response, Seal takes another step toward him, the hem of her gown brushing over his shoes, close enough for him to lift his arm and gently rest his hand on her waist.
All right. Thank you, Rosemary. Perfect timing. And I like all the kudos and cheers going on in the chat. So just like to thank you for all that. Keep on cheering everyone on. Everyone is doing an amazing job. Up next is Sarah Hannan, and then we have Jerry Harris after her, and Hopper Stone is on deck. All right, Sarah, we're just waiting for her to be spotlighted. Well, why don't you start introducing yourself? And there we go. Perfect. Go right ahead.
I'm Sarah Hannan. I live in Connecticut in the U.S. I'm reading a piece of speculative fiction, From a Distant Star by Karen McQuestion. The scout knew what it was like to have a body, of course. On his home planet, his own body laid waiting for him. But this body? It was awkward, with gawky limbs and joints with such limited motion, he was shocked these earthlings could function at all. The 2 viewing ports had to be aimed just right in order to work properly. Every movement took incredible effort. No wonder the inhabitants of this planet were so hostile. When the beings gathered all around him, their audible speaking felt like an assault. He didn't know which way to aim his vision or how he should react. When the kind-hearted being gave him what she called water, he instinctively knew that the body craved this substance, that it was necessary for existence. if that was the case, why was this body so depleted of water? It was hard to make sense of so many things. He instinctively knew that the audible communication was a reaction to him awakening. All around him, he felt tempered happiness, except for the kind-hearted being who seemed certain his awakening was permanent. The scout processed as much as he could. The identity of his body was, he thought, Lucas. He was fairly certain of this, so it was puzzling that the biggest one called him Son. Could it be that the inhabitants on this planet were known by multiple names? He had so much to learn if he were going to impersonate Lucas. The scout needed the Lucas body to become healthy and strong. It was his only hope for finding a way back home.
Okay, and that was time. Sorry, the timer wasn't loud enough, but thank you so much, Sarah. That was nice. All right, Jerry is up next, followed by Hopper Stone and Kate Seymour. You're on deck. All right, Jerry, tell us about yourself and your read.
Hi, I'm Jerry Harris. I'm living in St. George, Utah. I'll be reading an abridged excerpt from the comedic fantasy 9 Goblins by T. Kingfisher. They emerged from the house. Despite the mysterious emptiness of the farm, discovering the food couldn't help but raise their spirits. This lasted for a good 5 seconds before Nesselka said, "Where's Algol?" The 2 goblins looked around. "He was right out here," Murray said. "Algol!" hissed Nesselka. She didn't want to yell. She couldn't shake the feeling that yelling would bring something down on them. "Algol, where are you?" The cicadas were the only answer. "He can't have gone far," muttered Nesselka. "Unless whatever got the farmers got him too," said Murray glumly. "Put a lid on it, Corporal." "Sarge!" Murray pointed. Across the fields, coming out of a drainage ditch, was a familiar, tall, gray-green figure. Nesselka stomped towards him, furious and relieved all at once. "Corporal, what in the name of the great grim gods do you think you're—" "Look, Sarge!" he cried, holding something over his head. It was small. It was muddy. It wiggled. It was a kitten. "Oh, for God's sake," said Nesselka, covering her eyes. "I heard him mewing. He was stuck down in a pipe in the ditch, and I got him out. Can I keep him, Sarge? Can I? Please?"
All right, nice job. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, up next is Hopper Stone. And as Hopper is coming up, we have Kate Clover after Hopper with Steve Campbell on deck. So if we can, oh, there's Hopper right there. All right, tell us your name, where you're from, and about your read.
Thank you, Hopper Stone. I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm reading a passage from The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. Rice shut the book and sat for a time. In spite of himself, he was upset. "More pressure should have been put on the Japs," he said to himself, "to suppress this damn book. In fact, it's obviously deliberate on their part. They could have arrested this, whatever his name is, Albinson. They have plenty of power in the Middle West." What upset him was this. The death of Adolf Hitler, the defeat and destruction of Hitler, the Partei, and Germany itself, as depicted in Albinson's book, it all was somehow grander, more in the old spirit than the actual world, the world of German hegemony. How could that be? Rice asked himself. Is it just this man's writing ability? Oh, they know a million tricks, those novelists. Take Dr. Goebbels. That's how he started out, writing fiction. Appeals to the base lusts that hide in everyone, no matter how respectable on the surface. Yes, the novelist knows humanity, how worthless they are, ruled by their testicles, swayed by cowardice, selling out every cause because of their greed. All he's got to do is thump on the drum, and there's his response. And he laughing, of course, behind his hand at the effect he gets. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Nice, Hopper.
Thank you very much.
All right. Up next is, let me stop my timer here, is Kate Clover, followed by Steve Campbell, and on deck, Leonor Woodworth.
Hi.
Kate?
I'm Kate Clover. I'm in Slow County, California. This is from Not Another Happily Ever After by A.R. Schilling, and it is a romantic fantasy.
Okay.
You get off on making me jealous, don't you, beastie? My pulse hammers in my ears as fear gives way to anger. There's nothing I enjoy when it comes to you, Thorn. I bite out. All I have to sink my teeth into is the bitter taste of regret, as Thorn's surprise is a victory short-lived. With a crooked smile, he fists the crest hanging loose around my neck, pulling me taut until I can feel the heat of his breath on my lips. I try to fold them in, but with his other hand he tugs my bottom lip free, his chest rising and falling as I tremble beneath his touch. God, I love it when you misuse that pretty little mouth of yours. He breathes out, dragging the tip of his nose along my tear-stained cheek. Now I get to remind you of its purpose. I seal my eyes shut, tensing in preparation for the pain I know is soon to follow, for the moment his teeth sink into the fat flesh of my lip, hard enough to draw blood. Your pain is my pleasure, and these lips were created to please.
All right. Very nice. Right on time. Thank you so much, Kate. And up next, we have Steve Campbell. After Steve, Leonor Woodworth and Mina Fairlow is on deck. Steve? Oh,
Hi,
I see him. Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead. Start your introduction. Go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. My name is Steve Campbell, and I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I got to represent, so I'm going to be reading some Lit RPG. It's called Discount Dan by James A. Hunter. We'll go to a safe harbor, but there are some very specific supplies I need first. I lied. And I'm sure that if we can find the backrooms version of a Walgreens, I'll be able to get what I'm looking for. What sort of supplies? Croc asked, nosy as ever. I racked my brain trying to think of an answer. I hadn't anticipated so many questions. They have a bunch of stuff, I finally blurted out. But the thing that I need is a specific type of medication. Croc grew serious. Are you sick, then? Please tell me you're not sick. I'm really starting to like you, and I wouldn't be able to forgive myself for at least 3 weeks if you died. It's not life-threatening, I assured the mimic, already regretting my deception. Croc nodded sagely, then added, Is it hemorrhoids? I bet it's hemorrhoids. What? No, it's not hemorrhoids, I shot back. How do you even know what hemorrhoids are? I had a delver about 10 delvers back named Daryl. He went on and on and on about how bad his hemorrhoids were. Me? I've never had hemorrhoids on account of the fact that I don't technically have an anus, but Daryl made them sound exceedingly unpleasant. Both hemorrhoids and anuses, that is. In a rather dark and ironic twist of fate, Daryl was later eaten by a ravenous sand sphincter who dwells on the desert playground of floor 7. I scowled at the dog. I sincerely wish I hadn't told you any of that.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Loving the variety of genre here. All right. Up next is Leonor Woodworth, followed by Mina Fairlow, and Rebecca Gunn is on deck. Leonor? And go ahead with your introduction. Hello.
I'm Leonor Woodworth from Western New York, Rochester. And my genre is YA fantasy, fairy tale retelling. A Noble Purpose by Lori Lucking. Princess Liesel, wait! Well, isn't that a soggy biscuit? Why did he have to find us when we had already disappeared from the side of the castle? Sir Albrecht? Sir Albrecht? Even I was tempted to shiver at the iciness of my tone. Am I needed at home? No, Princess. His narrowed gaze took in more details as he approached. But where are you going? I held off my shoulders. I held my shoulders stiff, my mind a cacophony of incomplete thoughts. I'm off on a visit to my friend, Lady Atheldy. I assumed my parents, or Sir Eno, would have told you. He straightened, filling out the folds of his dark gray cloak with his broad frame. If they'd told me, wouldn't they have instructed me to accompany you? I swallowed against the sudden dryness in my throat. Not in this case, since I'm first meeting up with a party of friends for a picnic. 20, in fact, which is why we brought so many supplies. His lips twisted at one corner in an expression that would have almost been endearing, if not for the suspicion in his eyes. A picnic. For 20.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Leonor.
Thank you.
And we are going to bring up Mina Fairlow next, followed by Rebecca Gunn, and on deck, Michael Costantino.
Okay, hello.
Oh, there she is. Okay, go right ahead with your intro. They're going to spotlight you in just a second. Go
Thank
right
you.
ahead.
I think my camera might be off. I had a power flicker. So I apologize. I'm here, but webcam's not working because the power just went off.
Okay.
And it came back on seconds ago. So pray for me. Here we go.
Okay.
My name is Mina Fairlow. I'm a narrator in Baltimore, Maryland. I will be reading a selection from the book The Final Dip by Kaye Bellow. This is a sentient object romance. At first, panic. But then, please. Being a chicken nugget wasn't half bad. She felt warm, loved, and finally at peace with the food she had idolized. She wasn't just any nugget. She was a perfectly shaped, golden-crusted nugget with a smoky scent and a soft, intelligent core. Somehow, she could still think, still feel, and, more importantly, still judge the harmony of dipping sauces. As the sauces argued, Penelope decided she wanted her name to be Nuggy instead. She also realized something. Why choose one when she brought out the best in all of them? Nuggy lays on the tray, eyeing the horizon of the tray like a soldier on the edge of a battlefield. Around her, the sauces began to stir. Choose wisely, hissed Sriracha, his red glow pulsing with spicy confidence. Come on, you know I go with everything, said Ranch, smooth and cool, adjusting his lid like a cowboy. Don't trust them, grumbled BBQ, thick with suspicion. They'll smother your soul before you taste freedom.
All right on time, Mina. Thank you so much. And we're going to be bringing Rebecca up on stage, followed by Michael Costantino and Nicole Fikes. You're on deck. All right, Rebecca, tell us about yourself and the read.
Awesome. Hi, guys. My name's Rebecca Gunn. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is from Will Harper Dreams by Fiona Baker, and it is women's fiction. Things in New York have been difficult. In what way? He asked softly. Darla began walking again, Anne, when Rick caught up to her, started speaking again, this time not looking at him. Sometimes going back to the city makes me feel sick. I mean, it's supposed to be this creative place, this place where my artistic dreams could flourish, but... She shook her head. It's not going the way I planned, and it's been years. Rick nodded slowly, thinking back to his own career in Alaska. He thought about what everyone had said about him growing up and what he'd gone to college to do, about how everyone said he was going to have a brilliant career as a marine biologist. He thought about the ruthless nature of work in Alaska, How he had felt himself changing and had to reevaluate his entire life. He also thought about his own artistic aspirations and how scary being vulnerable through one's creativity could be. "You know," he said softly, "just because things don't go the way you planned doesn't mean you failed. I'm not sure you understand. The usefulness of your work is easy to see." Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rebecca. All right. Up next is Mike Costantino, followed by Nicole Fikes, and on deck, Oliver Wyman. So as soon as we get Mike, spotlit. Oops. There's the timer.
Hey, folks,
All right,
Mike
Mike, that's your timer to
Costantino here.
start.
Great. Mike Costantino, Stratford, Connecticut. The genre will be nonfiction. Haha. Kind of political sociology. The title is Assholes, a Theory by the author James Aaron. The second and third things a theory of assholes should explain are related and must be handled with greater care. The second thing to explain is that most assholes are not morally beyond the pale, unlike, say, a murderer, rapist, or tyrant. Most assholes are not that bad. One post in the Urban Dictionary has it that an asshole is the worst kind of person. If you're an asshole, you are disgusting, loathsome, vile, distasteful, wrathful, belligerent, agoraphobic, and more. Assholes are the lowest of the low. They transcend all forms of immorality. This is overwrought and unhelpful. We can agree that the worst kinds of people can also be assholes. But it is not helpful to think first of people at the bottom of the moral barrel, the Hitlers, Stalins, or Mussolinis, since their corruption is wildly overdetermined. As suggested earlier, the mere asshole is the clearer target of inquiry, and in any case, often not among the lowest of the low. We are quite justified in removing a murderer or a rapist or a tyrant from society by force. In handcuffs and at the point of a gun, the material cost such people impose upon others are enormous and often beyond repair. But the material costs many assholes impose upon others, a longer wait in line, a snide remark, a ruined afternoon, are often, by comparison, moderate or very small. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. All right. Up next is Nicole Fikes, followed by Oliver Wyman, and then Jennifer March is on deck. Nicole, well, let's get that. All right, Nicole, tell us who you are and what you're going to do.
Hi, my name is Nicole Fikes. I'm from Austin, Texas, and the title of the book I'll be doing is called Something in the Water, a thriller by Catherine Stedman. Have you ever wondered how long it takes to dig a grave? It takes an age. Nothing about it is easy. The stress, the adrenaline, the desperate animal need to do it sustains you for about 20 minutes. Then you crash. A full body hit. But you know with crystal clarity that high or low, exhausted or not, that hole's getting dug. Then you kick into another gear. It's that halfway point in a marathon when the novelty has worn off and you've just got to finish the joyless, bloody thing. You've told all your other friends you'd do it. You made them pledge donations to some charity or another. And then you went out every evening, shins throbbing, headphones in, building up miles for this. So that you can fight yourself, fight with your body right there in that moment. In that stark moment, and see who wins. And no one but you is watching, and no one but you really cares. It's just you and yourself trying to survive. That is what digging a grave feels like. That's it.
Ooh, all right. Thank you, Nicole. All right, we are going to be, oops, there we go, right on time. Next up is Oliver Wyman, followed by Jennifer March, and Aaron Grassi is on deck. All right, Oliver, tell us about yourself and about your performance.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ollie Wyman. I live in the Catskill Mountains of New York, and I'm going to read a section from one of my favorite books, my favorite section from a very tragic drama called A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Do you remember the last time you told me you were afraid that you were a series of nasty surprises for me? He asks him, and Jude nods slightly. You aren't, he tells him. You aren't, but being with you is like being in this fantastic landscape, he continues slowly. You think it's one thing, a forest, and then suddenly it changes and it's a meadow or a jungle or cliffs of ice. And they're all beautiful, but they're strange as well. And you don't have a map and you don't understand how you got from one terrain to the next so abruptly. And you don't know when the next transition will arrive. And you don't have any of the equipment you need. So you keep walking through and trying to adjust as you go, but you don't really know what you're doing. And often you make mistakes. Bad mistakes. That's sometimes what it feels like. They're silent. So basically, Jude says at last, basically you're saying I'm New Zealand. It takes him a second to realize Jude is joking. And when he does, he begins to laugh unhingedly, with relief and sorrow. And he turns Jude toward him and kisses him. Yes, he says. Yes, you're New Zealand. I beat the time.
All right, you sure did. Thank you very much, Oliver. Up next, we have Jennifer March, followed by Aaron Grassi, and Jocelyn Duford is on deck. Hi, Jennifer. Tell us about yourself and about your performance.
Jennifer March, and I'm in Petaluma, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm doing a classic romance, Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence. Both Hilda and Constance had had their tentative love affairs by the time they were 18. The young men, with whom they talked so passionately and sang so lustily, and camped under the trees in such freedom, wanted, of course, the love connection. The girls were doubtful, but then the thing was so much talked about. It was supposed to be so important. And the men were so humble and craving. Why couldn't a girl be queenly and give the gift of herself? So they had given the gift of themselves, each to the youth with whom she had the most subtle and intimate arguments. The arguments, the discussions were the great thing. The love-making and connection were only a sort of primitive reversion, and a bit of an anticlimax. One was less in love with the boy afterwards, and a little inclined to hate him, as if he had trespassed one's privacy and inner freedom. For, of course, being a girl, one's whole dignity and meaning in life consisted in the achievement of an absolute, a perfect, a pure and noble freedom. What else did a girl's life mean? To shake off the old and sordid connections and subjections. And however one might sentimentalize it, this sex business was one of the most ancient, sordid connections and subjections. Poets who glorified it were mostly men. Women had always known there was something better, something higher, and now they knew it more definitely than ever.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Nice job. All right, up next is Aaron Grassi, followed by Jocelyn Duford, and on deck, Aaron Lynn. All right, Aaron, you may begin.
Hi, I'm Aaron Grassi. I'm coming to you from Oakland, California, just across the bay. So I'll be reading to you from the middle grade story, The Lost Track of Time by Paige Britt. Dill's face grew redder than his hair. What Penelope means, he tried to explain, is that I used to be a great explorer. I've lost my way, and now I can't find anything. At that very moment, an idea occurred to Penelope. You found me, she said. Dill threw her a sideways glance. What? Penelope repeated herself. You found me. But I wasn't looking for you, insisted Dill. I was looking for the Great Moodler. The Great Moodler took an eager step forward. But don't you see? Penelope is a Great Moodler, one of the best. Her moodling defeated Kronos, freed you. She flung her hands up like she was throwing confetti. Freed the entire realm. Dill's mouth dropped open. A smile crept across the Great Moodler's face and settled into her eyes. She gave Dill a consoling pat. You know, dear, sometimes you find what you're looking for, but not what you were expecting. Dill looked at Penelope. You mean you're the Great Moodler I was looking for? I found her after all? I was right under your nose, said Penelope, laughing. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Nice, Erin. Thank you. Right on time. And next up, we have Jocelyn Duford, followed by Erin Lynn, and Virginia Griffith is on deck.
All right. Hello, my name is Jocelyn Duford. I'm coming at you from Manchester, New Hampshire, and this evening here, I will be reading from a coming-of-age fantasy called Healer Magic by Lawrence E. Donners. Kaye nearly fell when a huge section of the snow on the roof abruptly jumped down roof about a half an inch. The sudden movement disoriented him. He thought he was confounded because the movement he perceived in the snow conflicted with his other senses, which told him nothing had happened. From there, the big slab of snow that had shifted started sliding, gathering speed until it shot off the edge. What in all the hells did you do, Tori? Kaye asked, astonished. That was amazing.
I don't know. I just had the feeling that I could move a big section of snow, so I tried it. I felt pretty disappointed when it moved less than an inch, but I guess that was enough to get it going.
Can you do it again? Kaye asked. Maybe I can learn to do it your way.
I feel pretty sure I can,
Tori said, and moved across the room a little farther. Once again, a huge slab of snow shifted about half an inch, then gathered speed as it slid the rest of the way down the roof, driving the rest of the snow ahead of it. That was all the snow on that side of the roof, so they moved to the sales side of the building, and Kaye gave it a try. He moved a section of snow as big as the ones Tori had, but it only moved about 1/8 of an inch and didn't keep sliding. Before he could express his disappointment, Tori enthusiastically said, "Try doing a smaller piece. I'll bet that works."
All right. Thank you, Jocelyn. And up next, we have Erin Lynn, followed by Virginia Griffith, and Rebecca Ho is on deck. Erin, tell us about yourself and your performance.
Hi, I'm Erin Lynn, and I'm coming to you from the Chicagoland area. I will be reading an excerpt from Tessa Yang's debut novel, The Jellyfish Problem, which is lit fic, but kind of bordering on mystery as well. I crouched down so we were eye to eye. Sidney placed a palm on my shoulder, deadly serious. He smelled like grass and sunscreen. The premature smells of summer. Can you tell me the last time you saw your teacher? I asked. Miss Markov? She was there? Sidney lifted his hand from my shoulder and pointed at the schoolhouse. She taught us about, what are they called? Like an elephant trunk, but also the kind on a tree? I had no idea what he was talking about. Rocks! He shouted, getting frustrated. You throw them sometimes, but you're also in a rock band? Oh, you mean, let's see, are they called homonyms? He did a little victory shimmy. She taught us about homonyms. What happened after the homonyms? I asked. We ate our snacks. I had goldfish, Lila had peanut butter crackers, and Miss Markov had a cheese stick. And after that? I reached deep inside myself for patience as he described every detail of the school day. And then, he said, drawing a deep breath as he arrived at his finale. I tensed, waiting for the big reveal. And then Lila and I went home. That's it? That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Nice job, Erin. All right. Up next, we have Virginia Griffith. Rebecca Ho is on deck. And Jody Harris is after her. Do we have Virginia?
Currently, we don't show them in attendance.
No, Virginia? Okay. All right. She is marked, but okay, we'll move on. And if you have to go back, we will. Rebecca, that means you're up next. Rebecca Ho, there she is. And please tell us about yourself and your read.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Ho. I'm coming to you from New York City, and I'll be doing a YA sci-fi called Sky Hunter by Marie Lu. You look different, he's saying, without your striker coat. I don't know how it works. I can't begin to describe why I understand him without comprehending Kiranese. But through the new bond between us, I know what he's saying to me, as if his mind had fused with my own. All I can do is stare back at him, unsure how to react, stunned into complete silence. What did you do to me? I finally managed to sign to him. He lifts a hand, chains clacking, and taps his temple with a finger. You don't need to sign to me anymore, he says. Think your words. I can hear you in my mind. It is his voice, except his lips don't move at all. Instead of hearing him out loud, his words echo inside my head, a trickle of his emotions accompanying it. I stare at him, disbelieving. Then I tentatively try to do the same thing. This is impossible, I think to him, my hands still moving unconsciously to sign the words. Nothing is impossible, he responds in my mind.
All right, right on time. Excellent, Rebecca. All
Thanks.
right, we have Jody Harris up next, followed by Bob Ball with Aaron Moore on deck. So as soon as we get Jody. Oh, okay. I see the video popped on. Just unmute.
Hello.
All right, great. Tell us about yourself and your piece.
I am Jody Harris, aka Sophia Ellet, and I'm going to be reading from A Study in Sparkling by Jodie McAllister. It's a romance, but this little scene is not particularly romantic. Okay. The truth, Matt. Do you even think of me as a person? Have you ever? Or have I always been just some big joke to you? My knuckles went white as I clenched my fingers tighter. That's how you treated me today. Like the things I say don't matter. Like the agreement we made doesn't matter. I told you no, but you turned up anyway because my no was just a bloody joke to you. That's not what I intended. We were here. How could I be that close to the kids? And you've sure as hell turned me into a joke. I steamrolled right over him, the way he had tried to steamroll over me. An absolute laughingstock. The woman whose husband had a whole second family she didn't have a clue about. I didn't intend that either. Then you left us high and dry like we were nothing. 13 years of marriage, 3 kids, and boom, you just say clean break and disappear. Was our whole life just a joke to you? Of course not. Matt stood up, his overfull glass of wine wobbling dangerously. I loved you, and I love the kids, but... He nodded helplessly to the door. There's them, Micah, Nikki, Laura, and there came a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. I folded my arms. You were already with her when you met me. You were still with her when you married me. If you really did love me, I'm greedy, Fiona.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Jody. Up next, we have Bob Ball, followed by Aaron Moore and Andrea All. You are on deck. Bob?
Okay. Right.
All right, there you are. Tell us about yourself and your performance.
My name is Bob Ball. I'm reading from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And this is from a short story entitled Miss Forbes' Summer of Happiness by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. On the day we found the moray eel hanging from the door, Miss Forbes spoke to us of our patriotic obligations. After the soup, Fulvia Flaminea, almost floating on the air, rarefied by our tutor's voice, served a broiled fillet of snowy flesh with an exquisite aroma. I have always preferred fish to any other food on land or in the sky, and that memory of our house in Guacamayal eased my heart. But my brother refused the dish without tasting it. I don't like it, he said. Miss Forbes interrupted her lesson. You cannot know that, she told him. You have not even tasted it. She shot a warning glance at the cook, but it was too late. Moray is the finest fish in the world, figlio mio, Fulvia Flaminea told him. Try it and see. Miss Forbes remained calm. She told us that moray had been a delicacy of kings in antiquity and that good taste was imposed from infancy. Therefore, we had no valid reason not to eat. I had tasted the moray before I knew what it was, and remembered the contradiction forever. It had a smooth taste, yet the image of the serpent nailed to the door frame was more compelling than my appetite. My brother made a supreme effort with his first bite, but he could not bear it. He vomited. You will go to the bathroom, you will wash your face, and you will come back to eat.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you.
Right
Appreciate
on time. All right. So next up is Aaron Moore, followed by Andrea All, and we have Suzanne Fortin Gutierrez on deck. Aaron, tell us about yourself and your performance coming up.
Hello, I am Erin Moore. I am based in British Columbia, Canada, and I am doing a piece from an urban fantasy called Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. A sleek car turned the corner, looking black in the buzz of the Mercury street lamp. This was its third time around the block. A grimace tightened my face as it approached, slowing. Damn it, I whispered. I need a darker door front.
He thinks you're a hooker, Rachel.
My backup snickered into my ear.
I told you the red halter was slutty.
Anyone ever tell you that you smell like a drunk bat, Jinx? I muttered, my lips barely moving. Backup was unsettlingly close tonight, having perched himself in my earring. Big dangling thing. The earring, not the pixie. I'd found Jinx to be a pretentious snot with a bad attitude and a temper to match. But he knew what side of the garden his nectar came from. And apparently, pixies were the best they'd let me take out, since the frog incident. I would have sworn fairies were too big to fit into a frog's mouth. And scene.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you.
Next up is Andrea All as she's getting ready. Suzanne Fortin Gutierrez is up next, and Mary Lake is on deck. Andrea, unmute and tell us about yourself and your piece.
Corinne, I don't see my camera. What did I do?
You're on. You're on.
You can
We
see me?
you. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right.
You are on. Go right ahead.
Okay. So important to an actress, you know. Anyway, my name is Andrea All. I say Andrea as in mitochondria because of the rhyme. I'm in my booth in Morgan Hill, California, which is about an hour south of San Francisco. And I will be reading from Gabrielle Zevon's literary fiction novel called Young Jane Young.
Okay.
I'm shopping for bridal shoes with my mother, and I try on this stunning pair of rhinestone stiletto heels. Mech, Mom said. They're pretty, but your dress is to the floor. No one will see your shoes. Can you even walk? Mom asked. I feel like Cinderella. I'm going to get them. In the car, my mother said, Rachel, I don't know why I was so sour about the shoes. If you love them, you should have them. What I wanted to say was, you could just as soon not marry him. What? It's tempting to keep going with something just because it has already begun. Think of Hitler, Rachel. You're comparing Mike to Hitler? No. In this metaphor, you're Hitler, and your wedding is the final solution. Mother! Don't be so literal, Rachel. It's a story. Not with Hitler, it's not. Maybe I feel you don't always have his full attention. What else is he paying attention to? I don't know. But you're a free woman, my daughter. You have options. I did wear those shoes to my wedding and twisted my ankle leaving the synagogue. My mother's advice had always been sound, if not subtle.
Nice. Thank you,
I made
Andrea.
it.
You did. Wonderful. All right. Up next is Suzanne, followed by Maryke, and Kelly Wilkinson is on deck. Okay, Suzanne, tell us about yourself and what you're going to perform.
I'm Suzanne Fortin. I'm in Los Angeles, and I will be performing from Shades of Grey by Amanda Bonilla, which is an urban fantasy. Could you have picked a weirder place to meet? A man's voice spoke from behind me. Marcus. Lovely. Let's get this over with, I said. I'm freezing my ass off out here. 75%, the lackey said. As if it made everything okay, Marcus quickly added, Tyler promises he'll get the rest to you after the job's done. I jerked the envelope out of his hand. I didn't stand out in the cold for 75%. I didn't have to. Ty knows I won't do shit until I get the rest. I tucked the money into my coat and waited. Marcus stared at me, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. He looked like he was trying to keep from pissing his pants. Look, Darian, I'm just the messenger. I quirked an eyebrow and he faltered. You have a problem with what's in that envelope. You take it up with the boss man. I'm out. He turned his back on me, and I fought the urge to laugh at his carelessness. Tip of my blade pressed into his back before he could face me again. You know what I do to the messenger, right, Marcus? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Suzanne. Let's see. We have coming up next, Maryke, followed by Kelly Wilkinson, and Erica Leon Guerrero is on deck. Mary?
Hi. I'm Maryke. Can you hear me?
Yep, go right ahead.
Great. I'm Maryke, and I'm from Northern Michigan, and I'm reading a snippet from the book Call Game, written by Doctors Graham Elder and Laura Cody, and it's a whodunit mystery thriller. Dr. English poked his head over the drape. His mask was hanging loosely under his chin, and she could see little torpedoes of spit flying in the air as he yelled, "This bloke doesn't have 20 seconds, let alone 20 minutes. Get on with it!" Adrenaline spiked through Ryland's body, and she prayed the OR's incessant melody of pings and dings drowned out the stallion galloping inside her chest. 20 seconds. I can do this. Her fingers moved faster than she thought possible, and within minutes, she had drilled one pin into the right side of the pelvis and another into the left. "Bloody hell!" Dr. English yelled. "Pressure's dropping. I can't get the blood in fast enough. We're losing him." Rylan attached a clamp on one side and did the same for the other. Next, she attached a cylindrical carbon bar to each clamp in a mechanoset fashion and pulled the two rods together, effectively closing the pelvis like a book. Finally, she clamped the two rods together, held her breath, and stared at the drape separating the sterile field from Dr. English. He poked his head above the drape. This time, she could only see his eyes. Better. Rylan released her breath and finished tightening all the clamps. I have no idea how I did what I just did, but I think it worked. Thank you.
Okay, nice, Mary. Thank you. And let's see, up next, coming up is Kelly Wilkinson, followed by Erica, and Lisa Lockford is on deck. All right, Kelly, tell us about yourself and your read.
Hi, I'm Kelly Wilkinson. I am from Sacramento, the capital of California, and my genre is historical romance, and the book is The Immortal's Dawn by K.L.K. Cold towel under my knees. Dawnlight comes through the window. The palace is waking up. The servants are stirring. And the Emperor's shadow assassin, immortal, certified disaster, is hunched over a basin like a drunk outside a wine house. Dignified, very dignified. The nausea rolls through me in waves. Not the sharp, useful kind that comes with poison, but something slower, more insistent, more personal. My body has decided to stage a coup and has inconsiderate thoughts about everything I eat, smell, or look at. I've been poisoned 37 times, stabbed through the liver twice. None of that prepared me for the sheer biological betrayal of morning sickness. The wave passes. Eventually, I stay on the floor anyway. The tile is cool against my palms. The tile doesn't have opinions about my pregnancy. The tile is my new favorite thing in this palace. I've died a lot of times. Swords, poison, fire, drowning. I've been beheaded, burned, buried alive, and once killed by a very angry goose. Death 412. Let's add.
All right, there's a timer. Thank you, Kelly. Nice job. All right, up next is Erica Leon Guerrero, followed by Lisa Lockford. So let me get the timer here. Sorry. And Jackie Yung Yen, you are on deck. Sorry if I didn't say your name right. All right, there is Erica. Please tell us about yourself and your performance coming up.
My name is Erica Leon Guerrero. I'm from Guam, but I'm living in small town Virginia. I'm reading a paranormal YA romance from Superdoll by Aaron Schulz. No, sweetie, tell me why you don't want to go, Cecilia said, as she led me outside to some chairs under one of the large blue umbrellas. I hesitated. And then it all came out in a long rush. Because it's not really my thing. I hate stuffy parties, I'm not good with protocol, and I have nothing to wear, and I think my hair is offending people down here. There are a million good reasons to skip it, and 0 good reasons to go. I have a good reason. Because he invited you. This is a huge opportunity. The man is highly reclusive and hates outsiders. He practically moves under the cover of darkness. How comforting. What I'm trying to say is things are changing around here. Last year, he opened the island to tourists, and this summer, he let the Institute come here. Yes, but why me? The scholarship, of course. And look at it this way, if he abruptly changes his mind about tourism, you will be one of the few people who can claim to have met him. What a privilege. He wants to meet with you, Piper. You simply have to go. What if we send someone else, and she calls herself Piper? I'm really no good at these things, Cecilia. I'll make the Institute look bad. The General will never know the difference.
He invited you, not someone else, and who knows how he would react if we ever got caught. She handed me back the invitation. I sat there, pouting in silence, feeling defeated. Fine.
All right, very nice. Thank you, Erica. And up next, we have Lisa Lockford. Jackie Y. I'll let you correct this pronunciation. And followed by Tony Quinn. Lisa?
Hello.
Oh, there you go. Tell us who you are and what you're about to perform for us.
I am Lisa Lockford, and I'm coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. And I'm going to do an excerpt from Susan, You're the Chosen One, by Loretta Hignett, which is a bit of satirical fantasy romance. Yes, they were really there. I wasn't hallucinating. Oh no, too late. I realized they were all staring at me, and I was holding my phone up. It looked like I was filming them. Karen mode activated. God damn it. I whipped my phone away. I could hardly yell at them for the broken glass now. I sighed deeply. Just make sure you clean up after yourselves, okay? Before they could respond, I turned around and marched back to my apartment. Bart stood in the middle of the room. He'd obviously, very politely, used my absence to remove himself from where he'd been wedged in between the wall and the dining room table. Now standing up, all 6'2" of enormous teddy bear, almost filled my whole apartment. I'm so sorry, Bart, I said. There's a group of models doing a photo shoot on the roof. Uh-huh, he winked at me. Let's go watch. Maybe we could make friends with them. Like me, Bart loved beauty in all things. In art, in decor, in people. It didn't matter. If it was gorgeous, Bart would admire it. I'm afraid I might have Karened myself out of making friends. I sighed. Understandable. Well, I should head off anyways, he said, draining his wine.
Okay, thank you. Nice job, Lisa. All right. We have Jackie Yangian up next, followed by Tony Quinn, and A Dream Smith is on deck. Jackie, tell us about yourself and your performance coming up.
Hello, I'm Jackie Yangian. It's like yin and yang, but backwards is how I like to say the pronunciation is.
Ah.
Yeah. And I'm going to be reading a queer romance called A Milky Way Home by Sinju Chen. Is this okay? He said in a low voice, and Florence could feel the sentence everywhere on her skin. Yes, she breathed. His lips grazed her neck and all the way to her collarbone. Loose t-shirts had their benefits, Florence thought. With a bit of tugging, he might even be able to reach her shoulders. But he lifted his head, and her skin suddenly felt too cold in the absence of his lips. She straightened, too, to meet his eyes. They were filled with such wonder that they made her breath hitch. Wow, he whispered, and then his eyes widened as if he couldn't believe he had voiced it out loud. Florence would never say it, but Yan Chen wearing his heart on his sleeve was so endearing. She smiled at him, and it was the most beautiful thing to see him mirror a growing smile. Wow, indeed, she whispered back, and his face lit up. Her gaze drifted to his lips. If she was being honest, she would love to kiss him more, for the rest of the night, the month, the eternity. But she also enjoyed simply being wrapped in his arms, and him in hers. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Very nice. And let's see, up next we have Tony showing already. Oh, there's a timer. Let me take care of that. And you may go ahead and tell us who you are and what you're going to perform.
Hi, I'm Tony Quinn, coming to you from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. This will be a romance piece called Barefoot at Sunset by Roxanne St. Clair. Emma whipped around, almost falling out of her seat. What? Just for this week and this, he gestured toward the beach, audience. What in God's name are you talking about? She blinked in dismay, her mind whirring with possible escape routes. Hear me out. I need someone to deflect things so I can get through this week. You need your vacation in paradise. Come to a few events with me, say you're my wife, and I'll give you the master suite while I sleep on the couch and use the guest bathroom. She could feel her jaw loosen and her mouth grow wider and wider at each word. Deflect things? She asked, not sure the rest of his proposal, God, not another meaningless one, really sank in. I just don't want questions, he said, shifting a little in his seat. He didn't want questions. From me? Too bad, you're getting them. Why would I agree to do that for you? I'll tell you the story, he said, and I think you'll understand. Doubtful, but she reached for the wine and filled her glass. I think I'll need this after all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Nice job. And let's see, we have a dream up next. As she's coming on, I will let you know that we have Cheryl Williams next. And there's a timer. Mary Beth Wise, you are on deck. A dream, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adreem Smith. I'm based in New York. I will be reading a passage from Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. The genre is self-help. In 2006, I met with 22 community college students, male and female, to talk about shame. It was my first co-ed large group interview. At some point, a young man in his early 20s explained how he had recently divorced his wife after coming back from serving in the military and finding out that she was having an affair. He said he wasn't surprised because he never felt good enough for her. He explained that he constantly asked her what she needed and wanted, and that every time he got close to meeting her needs, she moved the goalpost another 10 feet. A young woman in the class spoke up and said, "Guys are the same way. They're never satisfied either. We're never pretty, sexy, or skinny enough." Within seconds, a conversation broke out about body image and sex. The discussion was mostly about how it's so scary to have sex with someone you care about when you're worried about how your body looks. The young women who started the conversation said, "It's not easy to have sex and keep your stomach sucked in. How can we get into it when we're worried about our back fat?" The young man who had shared the story of his divorce slammed his hand down on the desk and shouted, "It's not about the back fat. You're worried about it. We're not. We don't give a shit." The class fell completely quiet. He took a couple of breaths and said, "Stop making up all this stuff about what we're thinking."
All right, perfect timing, Adreem. Thank you. Very nice. And before we move on, I just want to say we are halfway through our program. Thank you all so much for joining us. Keep up the good work, cheering everybody on in the Zoom chat as well as the YouTube chat. So we want to keep cheering everyone on. Everyone's doing such an amazing job. And Cheryl Williams is coming on next. Mary Beth Wise is after her. And Nicole Cash, you are on deck. All right, Cheryl, tell us about yourself and your piece you'll be performing.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Williams, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm going to be doing a thriller. It is Operation Serpent Veil by Tori Kennedy. Beneath Paris, the catacombs breathe like an ancient beast. Walls lined with skulls, bones stacked like history's teeth. The torchlight flickered in human darkness as Luther Voss moved silently through the ossuary halls. the sound of his boots echoing off stone and secret. He was early. Of course he was. You didn't rebuild an empire in shadows by being late. You did it by staying forgotten long enough to become fear. At the seventh arch, marked by a Roman numeral carved in bone, she waited. Venus, robed in a charcoal cloak, her signature crimson lips muted to match the grave. Her eyes gleamed like coals under ice. "I thought you were dead," she said simply. "I was," Luther replied, stepping forward. "Then I saw what they made of our silence, how they used it to survive, to heal. I didn't come back for revenge. I came back to finish the blueprint." Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nice job, Cheryl. Up next is Mary Beth Wise, followed by Nicole Cash, and Michael Robinson is on deck. Oh, and there's the timer.
All right. Hi, I'm Mary.
There's Mary Beth. Go right ahead.
Great. Hi, I'm Mary Beth Wise. I'm just outside of Washington, D.C., and I'll be doing some historical fiction, The City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. So, backstage we went, straight into the busy, wanton clamor that always erupts in the wings at the edge of a... Sorry, let me start again. I was hearing some... Okay. So backstage we went, straight into the busy, wanton clamor that always erupts in the wings at the end of a show. "Vivi!" Peg shouted, and her grin lit up my world. "You made it, kiddo!" Kiddo? Nobody had ever called me kiddo, and for some reason it made me want to run into her arms and cry. "Well, you've already met Olive, our resident zookeeper," Peg said, "and this is Gladys, our dance captain." The platinum-haired girl grinned, snapped her gum at me, and said, "How you doing? And this is Celia Ray, one of our showgirls." Celia extended her sylph-like arm and said in a low voice, "A pleasure. Charmed to meet you." Celia's voice was incredible. She was a showgirl with the voice of Lucky Luciano. "Have you eaten?" Peg asked me. "Are you starved?" "No, not starved, but I haven't really eaten a proper dinner." "Well, we'll go out then. Let's go have a few gallons of drinks and catch up." Olive interjected. "Vivian's luggage hasn't been brought upstairs yet, Peg. She's had a long day, and what's more, we should give notes to the cast." "Oh, the boys can bring her things upstairs, and the cast doesn't need notes." "The cast always needs notes." Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Mary Beth. Up next is Nicole Cash, and following her, we have Michael Robinson, and on deck, Avian Jangula. So, Nicole, there she is. Please tell us about yourself and what you'll be performing.
Hi there. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Nicole Cash. I'm on Long Island, New York, and I will be doing a piece of Gothic horror. It's from a book called The Sunken, the Adored by Danye Coles. "You are not the professore," Umberto Castelli said, as she reached the top of the steps, back into a study made of leather and dark wood furniture. 2 chairs sat in front of a cold fireplace. He motioned for her to take the empty one. It was only here, in his parlor, that she considered she may have been in danger, that this man could have turned her too into a body. But the fear was useless, wasteful. She had nowhere else to go. "No," Mercy said, choosing her words carefully. "I am not him, but I can produce the daguerreotypes. Is that not what you needed?" "Yes. So we must speak. Who are you?" The question she had not found an answer to. She knew who she had been, Mercy in relation to the professor, and before that, mercy in relation to the mother. But now, she was alone. There was no one who had any claim on her, and she was in a place that may have been from a dream, where streets were water. Her head pounded. Her body shook, half from nerves and half from mad thirst, hollow hunger. Finally, she said, "My name is Mercy." That's it.
All right, very nice, Nicole. Thank you. Right on time. Up next is Michael Robinson, followed by Avian Jangula and Jennifer Whiting. You are on deck. If Mike is here, let's see. Marked present. Oh, well, we're waiting for Mike to be spotlighted. Just a reminder that narrators can go to the YouTube chat once they're done and put their information in for anyone who would like to contact them. And we invite everyone to share this video afterward for anyone who didn't make it to the show. All right, there's Mike. All right, welcome. Please tell us who you are and what you're going to perform. Oh, we can't hear you. Maybe reset everything and we'll come back to you. You want to try that?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. We got you. Go right ahead.
Okay, and that hopefully is coming through my primary.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Alrighty. I'm Mike Robinson. I'm in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. I will be doing a romance by H.D. Carlton's Hunting Adeline. One day, you will realize that you are not trapped in a prison. I am not a jail, little mouse. I am your sanctuary. Most people think the biggest sacrifice they can make is to die for something. They're wrong. The biggest sacrifice you can make is to live for something, to allow it to consume you and turn you into a version of yourself you don't recognize. I don't care if I need to set this world on fire until there's no one left but you and me. The world will burn around us, and I will gladly live in that chaos, as long as the only person that is a danger to you is me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Nice job. All right. Up next, we have Avian Jangula, followed by Jennifer Whiting, and Marcus Zarco is on deck. All right. Go right ahead, Avian, if you would introduce yourself and your piece you're going to perform.
Yes, hi, I'm Avian Jangula. I'm from Burnsville, Minnesota, and I'm going to be reading from A Taste for Murder, which is a cozy murder mystery by Camilla Schaefer. I don't remember you from the first show, I told Noah as I followed him out. I only joined the crew recently, he explained as we crossed the walkway towards the marquee. Do you like it? I asked, trying to be pleasant. Some of the contestants are real characters, he said, laughing. Aside from that, I love working in TV and being part of what makes a show seem effortless for the people at home. Oh, we're in luck. They haven't started cleaning just yet. Do you remember where you put your watch? On the countertop, I said, hurrying over. As I rounded Beth's station, I frowned at the long appliance cable snaking across the floor from my station. Had I dropped something? I didn't think so. Taking another step forward, ready to pick up the offending item, I stopped abruptly. Lying on the floor was Rebecca Kurtz, Her arms and legs sprawled, the shoulder of her gold and black brocade jacket ripped, her head in my abandoned mixing bowl, blood matting her hair. "Oh, no!" I cried, rushing forwards and dropping to my knees beside her. I pulled her shoulder, and she turned heavily. The bowl skidded away, leaving Rebecca's glassy eyes staring up at me, her face thickly smeared in my death-by-chocolate batter. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Avian. Up next is Jennifer Whiting, followed by Marcus Sarko, and Dawn Cromwell. You are on deck. And we're just looking for Jennifer. Oh, there you are. Okay, just tell us who you are and what you'll be performing, please.
I'm Jen Whiting. I go by Jenna Paris for narrating. I'm from Alberta, Canada. I will be performing apart from Broken Heart Country, a small town romance from Maeve Marlowe. My head dropped back against the car so hard it hurt. I was tired of trying to protect him from what I was. You're afraid I'm going to break your heart. The hurt in his voice roused the anger in me. I don't know. I pushed him again. That's what's wrong with me, Wes. I don't fucking know. Every time someone starts to get close, I can't stand it. I panic and I push them away. I told you, I'm broken. I curled my fingers into fists in my hair, squeezing until my scalp ached. You don't want me, Wes. You want the person you think I am in your head, but it's not me. You don't want me. You don't get to do that. You don't get to tell me what I want. You don't even know who I am. Yes, I do. I want your anger and all the hidden pieces you haven't let me touch yet. I've wanted you since the moment you told me to make my own fucking coffee. I do want you. Now, I really couldn't breathe. It's not fair. I didn't hear you, baby. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fucking fair.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Right on time. And we are going to bring Marcus Sarko up next. Dawn Cromwell is after him. And Sarah Morrissey, you are on deck. Marcus?
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, there you go. Tell us about yourself and what you're going to perform.
I'm Marcus Sarko, a Texan living in Chicago. I'm going to be performing from No Fixed Line by Dana Stabenow. He grasped the ragged edge of the fuselage where it had torn itself from the rest of the aircraft, pulled himself alongside it and around it, and then through it. The fuselage seemed to be pretty well wedged into the cliff face. It was dark inside and fast filling up with snow. A headlamp. Yeah, he sure could have used the headlamp about now. There was also a flashlight back in the first aid kit in the trailer instead of in his pocket, too. By some freak of physics, the floor of the fuselage was almost level. He could make out the vague outline of a single remaining airplane seat. Wires and strips of interior laminate dangled from places where the bulkhead had ripped open and what looked like stuffing, probably from one of the seats. He wiped the snow from his goggles. And there, in the back. Fuck! He tested the edge of what was really just some ribbing sandwiched between a couple of pieces of aluminum. It seemed steady enough, like maybe it wouldn't shift beneath his weight and roll down the side of the canyon and over himself, Laurel, and the sled, in that order. And Kate's cabin. Let's not forget that possibility. The one that might actually get him killed. He got his feet beneath him. The wreck held steady, wedged between the snow and the rock. He duck-walked forward, one cautious hand and foot at a time. And scene.
All right. Thank you, Marcus. Nice job. All right. Up next, we will be bringing up Dawn Cromwell, followed by Sarah Morrissey, and Willie Rapoli is on deck. there is Dawn. All right, tell us about yourself and what you'll be performing.
Hello, my name is Dawn Cromwell, and I live just south of Denver. And I've been enjoying seeing all of these fun faces and new and old friends on deck here. I'm going to be reading from I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle, whom most people know from being the author of The Last Unicorn. So. By the time he reached the Princess Sheree's, she was trying to sit up. Robert pushed her back down unceremoniously and threw himself on top of her, shouting into her ear, "Keep low, stay low, and follow me. Do as I do." He was starting to lead the princess away on hands and knees when she croaked out of her raw throat, "Reginald! Where's Reginald?" "We'll find him. Stay low and keep moving." They found Prince Reginald and Mortmain together, as might have been expected. The prince was berating his servant with as much energy as though his splendid mustache and half his hair hadn't been burned off his head. "One dragon. You promised. Guaranteed was the word I seem to remember. And what do I find myself facing? 3. Count them. 3 dragons, and every one of them breathing fire. Mortmain, the moment we are safely out of and clear of this nightmare, you are dismissed from my service, with no reference." "Yes, sire," Mortmain replied meekly. "I don't blame you at all, sire. Not at all. I certainly don't. But, Meanwhile, down!
All right. Thank you so much, Dawn. Very nice. All right. We are bringing up next Sara Morcey, followed by Willie Rapoli and Jed Archer. You are up on deck. Jed Aker is up on deck. All right, Sara, please tell us about yourself and your performance coming up.
I'm Sara Morcey in steamy Florida, reading a tiny slice of literary fiction by Margaret Atwood. I was given a voice. That's what people said about me. I cultivated my voice because it would be a shame to waste such a gift. I pictured this voice as a hothouse plant, something luxuriant with glossy foliage and the word tuberous in the name, and a musky scent at night. I made sure the voice was provided with the right temperature, the right degree of humidity, the right ambience. I soothed its fears. I told it not to tremble. I nurtured it. I trained it. I watched it climb up inside my neck like a vine. The voice blossomed. People had said I had grown into my voice. Soon I was sought after, or rather my voice was. We went everywhere together. What people saw was me. What I saw was my voice, ballooning out in front of me like the translucent greenish membrane of a frog in full trill. My voice was courted, bouquets were thrown to it, money was bestowed on it. Finally, people told me that my voice would thrive only for a certain time. Then, as voices do, it would begin to shrivel.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Sara. Nice job. Let's see. Up next, we have Willie Rapoli. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Jed Aker is up next, and Lisa Sandlin, you are on deck. All right, Willie, if you would introduce yourself and tell us about your performance.
Hi, I'm Willie Rapoli. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. I'm going to read a mystery detective story set in my hometown called The Sandberg Connection by Mark DeCastreek. I held up my license. Nikayla and I are private investigators. We were following Mrs. Wainwright for a client. Ranger Koren looked at us with new interest. Blackman and Robertson, you broke the Peters homicide. Detective Peters was a good man, I said. Some other PI got killed? Overcash asked, the lack of concern rampant in his voice. Koren's square jaw tensed. Roy Peters was a detective with the Asheville police, killed in the line of duty. More importantly, he was a friend of mine. Overcash reddened. Well, maybe they were pursuing the Wainwright woman a little too aggressively. She ran out on the rock and lost her balance. Deputy Overcash. Nikayla spoke his name like he might not have the sense to recognize it. I don't know how you do it here in your county, but when we follow people, they don't realize they're being followed. That's the point. I didn't want the conversation to turn into an us versus them standoff. We'll recommend our client cooperate with the authorities should such cooperation be required, but since they bear no responsibility for Mrs. Wainwright's unfortunate injury, there's really no need to involve them.
All right. Nice job. Thank you, Willie. And next up is Jed, followed by Lisa Sandlin, and on deck, Melinda Cumming.
Hi there. I'm Jed Eicher. I'm here in Ossining, New York, about an hour north of the city. I'll be doing The Noble Rot by Nick Antosca. It's a horror piece. Bertie offered him a spoonful of ice cream. He took it, closed his eyes, made an exaggerated sound as he savored it. Is that black raspberry? He said playfully. She took the spoon back. Grandpa's favorite. Oh, Mark said. How do you know? He told me. No, honey. Grandpa's dead. Before he died, Bertie said. He called me on the phone. Oh, he did? When did he do that? I told you, she said around a mouthful of dark red ice cream. Before he died. He called and talked to me. Mark stared at her. He remembered the landline ringing and Bertie scurrying to answer it. He knew she could just be imagining his story, but suddenly he didn't believe that she was. Wait, he really called you? When? More than once? Lots of times. Almost every day. Look at me. Starting when? She tilted her head, thinking. Right after my birthday. Her birthday was in December. Stefan had died in May. 5 months. The months when Bertie's behavior had changed. Thanks.
All right, great job. Thanks, Jed. And up next is Lisa Sandlin as she's coming up. Let's see, there's Melinda Cumming. There we go. And E.A. Castillo is on deck. All right. Lisa, tell us about yourself and what you'll be reading.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lynn Sandlin. I am outside of Seattle, Washington. Tonight I am reading women's historical fiction. It is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. He is staggering slightly, but his gaze is level and direct. His rifle she sees as cocked, and he carries it like a fool, with his finger on the trigger. So you'll look at me now, will you, Marjorie? She keeps her voice steady, her mind racing. I see you, Clem McCullough. I see you, Clem McCullough. He spits as he repeats it, like a nasty child in a schoolyard. She has never been afraid of much, but she's familiar enough with these mountain men to know not to pick a fight with a drunk, especially one bearing a loaded gun. Just doing my job, Mr. McCullough. I'd be obliged if you'd let me pass. McCullough raises his gun. Shut that mouth of yours. She clamps it shut. He takes 2 steps closer, his legs spread and braced. The only route here follows the creek. The forest floor is hard scrabble flint. The trees too dense to move any way forward. There's nobody for miles. She's on her own, and he knows it. And there is the bare truth of it, for her and all the women around here. Doesn't matter how smart you are, how clever, how self-reliant, you can always be bettered by a stupid man with a gun.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Very nice. Up next is Melinda Cumming as she's getting ready. E.A. Castillo is following her, and Rob Greenbaum is on deck. And there's Melinda. Tell us all about yourself, a little about yourself, and what you'll be performing.
My name's Melinda Cumming. I live in the Pacific Northwest. That's okay. I'll be doing a cozy mystery. It's from the book Detour by Lorena McCourtney. The first problem with our latest plan to retrieve the evidence was that the chain links were too close together for a foothold, and a nasty twist of barbed wire that wasn't visible at a casual glance curled around the top. We moved on to Plan B-1. Mac would park the pickup under some overhanging branches close to the fence. He would climb on top of the cab and, using a board from the back of the pickup, ease over the barbed wire and onto a branch. After he retrieved the evidence, he'd climb the tree inside the fence, get out on the branch, and drop to the ground outside the fence. The plan wasn't exactly a James Bond level of cool, but it sounded workable. "You got this, Mac," I encouraged. "Thanks, Ivy," Mac replied. Mac got across the fence, but then came a complication. The board slipped, and a protruding nail snagged the seat of his khaki pants. The rip wasn't deep enough to reach his skin, but it was big enough to expose a generous expanse of Hawaiian print boxer shorts. It looked to me as if the rip must be letting in a fair amount of cool air, but Mac didn't seem to notice. He turned and waved just before he disappeared, and the last I saw of him was a red flesh of the hibiscus on his shorts.
Very nice. Thank you, Melinda.
Thanks.
All right. We have E.A. Castillo up next, followed by Rob Greenbaum. And Catherine Khanna, you are on deck. All right. Please tell us about yourself and what you'll be performing.
Hi, I'm E.A. Castillo, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. And I'll be performing a YA thriller, All the Devils, by Caitlin Wilson. The funeral director walks deliberately by me. His shadow streaks across the hallway as he paces. I take a ragged breath and straighten, my hand resting on Violet's cold leg. My tattoo burns again, and on impulse, I'm desperate to see Violet's. That was the last time we saw each other, getting those tattoos on her 18th birthday. The rushing sound returns to my ears, louder this time. My fingers shake so badly that I can only bring myself to nudge her favorite skirt a few centimeters. I expect to see the bloom of black ink against her chalky-looking skin, the kiss of a pattern, antlers cradling a moth and a crescent moon. There is nothing but blank skin. My tongue lodges to the roof of my mouth. I move the hem again. Nothing. Ice creeps into my veins and lodges in my stomach. Makeup. It has to be the makeup. They put that on dead bodies, right? A way to make them look less wrong. Clinging with one hand on the lip of the casket, I press my fingers into Violet's stiff, cold skin and rub. The pale canvas of her thigh remains the same.
Okay, thank you so much, EA. Nice job. And let's see, up next is Rob Greenbaum, and followed by Catherine Khanna And Rebecca H. Lee, you are on deck. Okay, Rob, you may introduce yourself and your piece.
Hi, I'm Rob Greenbaum from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'll be narrating an excerpt from a nonfiction book, A Field Guide to the Apocalypse, by Athena Actippus. Now is a rough time, no question. But also, everything is fine. I don't mean it's okay that fires are raging, that climate change is accelerating, or that people around the world are dying from infectious diseases. I mean that we have to be okay with the way things are right now so that we can face reality and work together to reduce the likelihood and intensity of future disasters. If we simply look the other way and pretend it's not happening, it's just going to get worse. This is not a keep calm and carry on kind of deal. This is a keep calm, face the facts, and change how you carry on situation. It's hard to live with the existential risk we're constantly facing. It's also tempting to ignore it, to distract ourselves and pretend that things are fine and we aren't living in the middle of a full-on planetary crisis. But here's the thing. We don't have to pretend things are fine. We can just face our apocalyptic reality and realize we actually can live a fulfilling life even while facing reality. Also, there are lots of simple things we can do to reduce our collective risk of death, disease, dismemberment, and other disastrous fates.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob.
Thanks.
And we are going to move on to Catherine, followed by Rebecca H. Lee, and on deck is Jackie Millock.
Hi, I'm Catherine Canna from Los Angeles. I am reading from a rom-com by the name of So That Happened by Katie Bailey. I stand in the doorway to the microscopic room and stare at the bed, which takes up almost the entire surface area. Off to the side, there's an equally small bathroom. Oh no, this will not do. Even I can't spin this one. What are you doing? A deep voice behind me says, clearly suspicious. I roll around and pull the door closed, blocking Liam's view into the room. Nothing. He narrows his eyes. Just hanging out in the hallway for fun, then? I wince. Better to rip off the Band-Aid. Okay, we may have a teeny tiny problem. How tiny? This tiny. I swing open the door. Liam draws in a breath. Swears. It's fine, I insist. For some reason, I'm hell-bent on proving a point at this moment. Grumpy, suited, fake boyfriends bring out the worst in me. I'll sleep in the shower. Liam lifts his eyes heavenward like he's very, very done with both me and this entire situation. How do you expect to accomplish that? I'm sure I read somewhere that humans can sleep standing up, I say, still on my stubborn streak. Or wait, was it dolphins? Never mind, dolphins can't stand, they have tails. Oh my gosh, stop talking, Annie.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Nice job. All right, up next is Rebecca H. Lee, followed by Jackie Millock, and Tina Falconberry is on deck. All right, Rebecca H. Lee.
All right. I'm Rebecca H. Lee from Seattle, and I'm going to do a very short chapter from a nonfiction book, business book called The Purple Cow, or just Purple Cow, by the wonderful Seth Godin. Before, during, and after. Before advertising, there was word of mouth. Products and services that could solve a problem got talked about and eventually got purchased. The best vegetable seller at the market had a reputation, and her booth was always crowded. During advertising, the combination of increasing prosperity, seemingly endless consumer desire, and the power of television and mass media led to a magic formula. If you advertised directly to the consumer, every consumer, sales would go up. A partnership with the right ad agency and the right banker meant you could drive a company to be almost as big as you could imagine. After advertising, we're almost back to where we started. But instead of products succeeding by slow and awkward word of mouth, the power of our new networks allows remarkable ideas to diffuse through segments of the population at rocket speed. As marketers, we know the old stuff isn't working, and we know why. Because as consumers, we're too busy to pay attention to advertising. But we're desperate to find good stuff that solves our problems.
All right. Thank you very much, Rebecca H. Lee. And up next, we have Jackie. I don't want to say your name incorrectly again, so I will let you do that.
Hi.
Tina Falconberry's on deck, and Janelle Brown, you're on deck. Go ahead, please, Jackie.
Hi there. I'm Jackie Malash. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. And tonight I'll be reading a queer YA fantasy piece called The Sapling Cage, and that's written by Margaret Killjoy. I let my hair down out of its top knot. Long and straight and black, it framed my face well. I'd have worn it down all the time if I could. Though I was much taller than Lane, I was nearly the same size as Leona had been. Most of the dresses sat funny across my chest, since I had nothing to fill them out, and even fewer of them were loose enough across the hips to hide the bulge between my legs. But in the end, I found two that fit me just right. Both were high-waisted, which made my legs look longer and my torso shorter. One linen, one wool. When I wore those dresses, I couldn't stop smiling. "You're beautiful," Lane said. She was smiling too. She thought for a minute, then dug through the wardrobe. She pulled out a necklace. A black stone pendant hung from a delicate steel chain. She held it out to me. No one in town had anything so nice. "Your mother didn't say anything about taking any jewelry," I said. "She's dead. Take it. As a thank you." I took it and put it on. It hung just above the low neckline of the long dress, the stone cool and comforting against my chest. Despite how I was born, I was going to get to be a witch. Despite how I was born, I was going to get to live as a woman. Thank you.
All right. Nice job. Thank you, Jackie. And right on time, too. Up next is Tina Falconberry, followed by Janelle Brown and Jared Weaver. You are on deck. Tina, go ahead and introduce yourself and your performance coming up.
Great. Hi, I'm Tina Nachle Falconberry, and I live in Virginia, close to Washington, D.C. The piece that I'm reading is from a new book by Ruth Ozeki. It's just fiction. It's a collection of short stories and just general fiction. Okay. Here we go. Baby slept in the eaves under the rafters. Her room was shaped like a wedge of cake on its side. So when she lay in bed and looked up at the steeply pitched ceiling, she felt as though the lid were being lowered. She felt as though the lid was being slowly lowered on top of her. She had grown so tall in the months since they moved to Vancouver that now, if she pointed her toes, the tops of her toenails scraped the slope. When she mentioned this at breakfast, Guy's answer was, "Oh, c'est facile, bébé. We will chop off the legs." "You're horrible," Cayenne exclaimed, swatting his arm. Then to Baby, "He's just kidding, hun. I won't let him cut your legs off, I promise." Guy whinnied through his nose. He was smoking a joint, which was all he ever had for breakfast. Baby ate dry Fruit Loops from a bowl because Cayenne had forgotten the milk. Oh, lady, comme tu es bête, Guy said, taking the toke. So the words came out strangled. Not the legs of bébé, the legs of the bed. They didn't get it, so Guy rolled his eyes and exhaled. I will cut off a few inches from the legs of the bed, he explained, through the smoke.
Very nice. Thank you, Tina. All right. Up next, we're bringing up Janelle Brown. Jared Weaver will follow, and Hannah Gates is on deck. Janelle, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi. My name is Janelle Brown. I'm from the DMV, specifically Maryland, and I'll be reading a fantasy called Lore of the Wilds by Annalise Abrana. Lore stood perfectly still, holding her breath. Her life was in his hands. A single tear dropped from her eye, in sync with the loring of his sword. He slid it back into the scabbard at his hip. If I let you go, they will kill me. If I turn you in, they will kill you. What will you have me do? What have you done to me, Lore? Her name wasn't a prayer on his lips as his had been on hers. It was a curse, one she had placed on him no less. Let me explain. We don't have time. Go back to your room, now. He spoke through clenched teeth. I can't. She shook her head, willing more tears not to spill. Go. It is your only option if you wish to live. No. She tilted her chin up and pushed her shoulders back. She wasn't less than him, and she wouldn't act as though she was. She wouldn't be beaten into the belief that she was. She may have temporarily forgotten who and what Asher was, but the memory of cold steel against her throat had cleared her of any romantic notions. He was a dark fae, and she a human.
All right, nice. Thank you very much, Janelle.
Thank you.
And there's the timer. All right, up next is Jared Weaver, followed by Hannah Gates, and Macy Mott is on deck.
Hello.
Jared, okay, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your performance coming up.
Hello, my name is Jared Weaver. I'm from Winfield, Indiana, and I will be doing a nonfiction segment from Tornado Hunter, Getting Inside the Most Violent Storms on Earth, written by Stefan Bechtel with Tim Samaras. The United States has more tornadoes than any other country in the world. You've seen videos of them and the destruction they cause. What you may not realize is just how many people actually make storm chasing their hobby. Each February, a National Storm Chasers Convention is held in Denver, Colorado. I've given talks at several of them and was amazed that over 200 chasers were in attendance, and that's only a fraction of the number of people who chase storms. Sometimes there may be as many as 3 dozen chasers following the same thunderstorm. Chasers aren't confined to the Midwest, but emanate from most parts of the United States and even from other countries, some making their summer vacation a trip to Tornado Alley. There are even several storm chaser tour companies that take paying customers on the experience of a lifetime. Chasers love the challenge of predicting where severe thunderstorms will develop, then navigating themselves into position to photograph the storm, and the ultimate goal is tornado. Many enjoy the thrill of getting close enough to almost feel the tornado winds, yet escaping when the danger is deemed too great. Tornado Hunter weaves the fascinating tales of several veteran storm chasers. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Jared. Nice job. We are moving on to Hannah Gates. Oh, there's your timer. Hannah Gates is up next, followed by Emcee Mott, and Deborah Cosnett is on deck. Hannah, go right ahead.
Hello, I'm Hannah Gates. I'm based in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I am reading from a fantasy romance called Not Another Vampire Book by Cassandra Gannon. Damien? She breathed. Is your name Damien? His attention stayed riveted on her. So, you do know me. Oh, God. Kara slapped a hand over her mouth and gaped at him in horror. I've gone crazy. How did that happen? What are you yammering about? Kara cut him off. Oh, just shut up. This was Damien, last of the wizard warlocks. The stupid bad guy from the stupid book she hadn't even wanted to read. There was no way this was happening. No way. And yet, there he stood. You're not even real, you know. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you're not. And I'm having a shit day, so just have some respect for my meltdown, all right? He crossed his arms over his chest and watched her, broodingly. You'll attract attention with your ranting, and I won't let your hysteria ruin my plans. Your very presence is disruptive enough. I really should kill you. And I have no idea why I don't. Because you don't kill anybody this chapter, genius. It's all about the foreshadowing. So far. He made a frustrated sound. If you think a lovely appearance and some nonsensical jabbering will distract me from my goal, you're wrong.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice job, Hannah. And we are bringing up Emcee Mott next, followed by Deborah Cosnett and Elizabeth Wiley. You are on deck. Emcee, tell us about yourself and what you'll be performing, please.
Hi, I'm Emcee Mott. I am in Teton County, Wyoming. I am going to be performing a short YA horror story. The story is called Movable Beast by Maria Davina Headley. Billy Beecham grabs my hand, and I take off running, and I'm flying behind him like a streamer. He's making some sort of call with a whistle, a honk. The beast has never honked. My backyard borders the mini forest, and if anyone's heard the voice of the beast, it's me. The beast roars. Billy Beecham stops, and I crash into him. He's swinging his net around over his head. This is not what you do with our beast. Our beast is uncatchable. Here, beast, he croons. Beast, beast, here, beast. Does it need a virgin? You'll do. I look at him. He doesn't even have the grace to blush. It doesn't need a virgin. It doesn't care about virgins. Not what I heard, Billy Beecham says, and resumes his clucking and net swinging. He has no idea how to call a beast. I decide to show him. How do you call this kind of beast? It's the kind of beast that responds to one hand clapping. So I clap against a tree trunk. It's the kind of beast that hears when a tree falls in the mini forest and there's no one around. I feel it beginning to move. There's a tearing sound and a racking sound. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Emcee. Very nice. Up next is Deborah Cosnett as she's coming up. Elizabeth Wiley will follow, and Dan Belmont is on deck. Oh, there is Macy's timer. All right, Deborah. I see her. Okay, there you are. All right. Introduce yourself and tell us what your read is about.
Thank you. I'm Deborah Cosnett from Longmont, Colorado, and I'm reading a passage from the upcoming novel Mall Goddess by Maryke Dahlman. It's an unusual genre. It's satiric comedy with a quirky protagonist. Wendy flashed a smile. The back of my neck prickled. What was her real agenda today? It couldn't only be vertical farms. "All right," Wendy said. "That's all I have to say. Let's eat." This drew another measured laugh. Given the way she'd warmed up the audience, I figured maybe it was a good moment for me to say something. I stood. "Hey, everybody, one more thing." Everybody's heads swiveled toward me. "On November 22nd, Black Friday this year, there's a big event planned, the Punk Empire Extravaganza. We want to get as many people here as possible. Let's save the date." A deafening crash of glass cut me off. Screams and shouts followed. Some ladies stood, but most were completely frozen, gaping at something behind me. I whirled and took in the scene. Broken glass littered the food court floor. A shard sparkled near my foot. My wits dull from shock, I pressed my sketcher on it. Yes, glass. It was real. But where had it come from? The ceiling. "Oh, my God!" Wendy craned her neck. "The skylight?" I turned back and raised my hands in the air. "Hold it! Everybody stay cool." "Indeed, folks, this is really dangerous."
All right. Thank you, Deborah. Very nice. Up next is Elizabeth Wiley. Dan Belmont is following her, and on deck, Sylvia Gonzalez. Elizabeth, as soon as we get her pinned. All right, there you go. Please tell us about yourself and your piece coming up.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Wiley in Williamsburg, Virginia, and my piece is a poem by May Sarton called Evening Music. We enter this evening as we enter a quartet, listening again for its particular note, the interval where all seems possible, order within time, when action is suspended and we are pure in heart, perfect in will. We enter the evening whole and well defended, but at the quick of self, intense detachment that is a point of burning far from passion, and this we know is what we always meant, and even love must learn it in some fashion, to move like formal music through the heart, to be achieved like some high, difficult art. We enter the evening as we enter a quartet, listening again for its particular note, which is your note, perhaps, your special gift, a detached joy that flowers and makes bloom the longest silence in the silent room. And there would be no music if you left.
Nice. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
And right on time. Okay, up next is Dan Belmont. As he's coming up, let you know that Sylvia Gonzalez is after him, and Sarah K. Peters, you're on deck. Dan, go right ahead and introduce yourself and your performance coming up.
Thank you very much. I'm Dan Belmont from Long Island, New York. I have a sci-fi noir. The title is Hard Luck Hank by Stephen Campbell. The doorbell rang, and I thought about whether or not to answer. After a moment, I threw open the door, and outside was a petite woman with vibrant blue skin. "Are you the mutant they call Hank?" she asked in a lilting voice. "Yeah, that's me. What can I do for you?" She seemed suddenly very excited. "Could I come inside?" she asked. "Sure," I said, holding open the door. She entered and looked around my apartment. It wasn't big or clean. or free from smashed bullets on the walls. Would it kill me to fix the place up? I must be certain you are the correct person. What are your abilities? I'm hard to hurt. Excellent. So, what if a destroyer was to hit you? Like a Calmarian Navy ship? Yes, she said brightly, happy I understood her ludicrous question. You're asking what would happen if I was maybe swimming around in space? The reason doesn't matter. Right. Sure, I said to this lunatic. And this destroyer turned its cannons on me and fired. You're asking what would happen? Exactly, she said, as if she were being totally reasonable. I'd explode and be smeared all over the galaxy.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Very nice. And we have Sylvia Gonzalez coming up. Sarah K. Peters follows her, and William Smith is on deck. All right, Sylvia, go ahead and introduce yourself and your piece. Oh, we can't hear you. There you go. Perfect. Go right ahead.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm Sylvia Gonsalves, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. I am performing a piece from Circus of Ink by Lauren Palfreyman, and it is a dystopian fantasy. I had never seen a blotter up close before, the tattooed monsters wielded by the creators. But despite the fact that I should definitely run, and he should have killed me already, we continue our strange standoff. Where is it written? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady, but panic begins to rise. Where is it written that I die? Show me. Behind the anger, I see intrigue in his face. He is not used to being challenged. He yanks down his collar. Here, look. Above his heart is a black circle. Within it is a familiar twisted line, broken in the center. I know this symbol. It marks my death. We are bound by ink. I told you to run. You don't have to do this. I do. It is written. Sorry, little one. I'm going to take your advice and run now. Go ahead. But I already know where you'll go. It is written. I think I see a hint of regret on his face. But blotters don't regret.
All right. Perfect timing. Nice work, Sylvia. Thank you. Up next is Sarah K. Peters, followed by William Smith, and Vaishali Sharma is on deck. Sarah K., go right ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sarah K. Peters. I am joining you from Los Angeles today, and I'm reading a children's fantasy called The Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald. While the princess stared, bewildered, with her head just inside the door, the old lady lifted hers and said in a sweet but old and rather shaky voice, "Come in, my dear, come in. I am glad to see you." The princess did as she was told, stepped inside the door at once, and shut it gently behind her. "Come to me, my dear," said the old lady. And again the princess did as she was told. She approached the old lady, rather slowly, I confess, but did not stop until she stood by her side and looked up in her face with her blue eyes and the two melted stars in them. What have you been doing with your eyes, child?" asked the old lady. "Crying?" answered the princess. "Why, child?" "Because I could not find my way down again." "But you could find your way up." "Not at first, not for a long time." But your face is streaked like the back of a zebra. Hadn't you a handkerchief to wipe your eyes with? No? Then why didn't you come to me to wipe them for you? Oh, please, I didn't know you were here. I will next time. There's a good child, said the old lady.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Very
Thank you.
nice. William Smith is up next, followed by Vaishali Sharma, and Todd Meneses is on deck. And William, go right ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi. Oh, let's see, unmute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, my name is Will Smith. I go by William Walker as my narrator name for obvious reasons. I'm coming at you from New York City. I'll be reading an excerpt from a YA fantasy that I'm currently working on titled First Fracture by me. Kemp thought of the veins closing, of the impossible distance he'd just barely managed, and nodded. As long as you're sure. I've been sitting up in here for weeks. A third voice joining them spoke from the table with the burning lanterns. No one's been by. The two jumped, looking toward the source of the voice. Stepping into the light was a young man, a warm smile bringing to life his otherwise ghostly appearance. Marcel! Lessa beamed and bounded over to the well-lit table. Isn't this great? She said, spinning around to take in the vastness of the space. Kemp followed more slowly, the adrenaline still cooling in his veins. He had to admit it was a good find, a perfect place for them, safe, hidden, and far away from the scrutiny of the main routes. Kemp joined them at the table. He quickly scanned the area and found a chair that looked sturdy enough. He spun it around and sat down on it backwards. It's kind of creepy, he said, pretending to shiver. Like a tomb vein. Well, it's not a tomb vein, Marcel said, crossing his arms and giving Kemp an indignant look. You asked for a private, empty room that no one knows about, and I delivered. Marcel glanced at the strap around Kemp's chest, attached to the bag across his back. And it's of no use anyway, he continued, if you don't deliver what you promised. Scene.
All right. Wonderful. Right on time. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
All right. We are now bringing up Vaishali Sharma. Todd Meneses is after her, and Caitlin Olive is on deck. There she comes. Okay.
Hi.
Introduce yourself and tell us what you're going to do.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vaishali Sharma, and I'm tuning in from India. And the piece today is a sci-fi fantasy blend. It's from a book called The Frugal Wizard by Brandon Sanderson. Cut me free, I said in my most intimidating voice. The Lord smiled. I'd been prepared to see a mouthful of dingy, rotting teeth, but he seemed to have all of his teeth. And while they weren't pristine white, they weren't rotting either. Cut you free, the Lord said. You think I've never heard a ballad before? It was worth a try, I said. Very well. I shall require a berry that has never seen the sun, 2 stones polished by a frog, and 1 leaf of nightshade. In return, I shall leave your quaint village with a blessing and go back to my people. The Lord glanced at the woman standing next to him, who shrugged. I'll see what can be done, the Lord told me. Or, I said, you could tell those 2 men looking for me that I'm here. Then you could turn me over to them. Ha, the Lord said. You are very cunning. But as you aren't red-haired, nor do you have the features of a foreigner, I don't believe they want you. Wait, the men weren't looking for me? The woman was still watching me. Great. Was this going to be another conversation with a wall? Look, I said. Can we? Let's cut the lie, stranger, she interrupted.
And that
I
is
know
time.
what you
Sorry,
really are.
Bashali. I'm sorry, that's time. It was it was a little low that time. Thank you very much. Nice job. All right, up next, Todd Meneses, followed by Caitlin Olive, and Eileen Descalar is on deck. Todd, there you go. Go ahead and introduce
Hi,
yourself. Welcome.
I'm Todd Meneses. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'll be reading Steel and Moonshine, segment from that, Book 3 by Cassius Lang and Ned Castor. It's a lit RPG fantasy. Sancta Varath looked almost peaceful on a warm spring Sunday afternoon. Birds chirped happily on the clay rooftops, and even the sullen faces of the pilgrims dotting the corners of the street seemed, well, less sullen. I felt content, though I knew it had to do with the 4 whiskeys I had before we made our way to Queen Street for the weekly hangings. If it weren't for Fay and Spiff's incessant pleading, I would never have spent my only free day watching a couple of schmucks choke to death. But here I was. You can't put a price on quality family time. "I can't believe you've never seen a hanging," Pearl, who joined us along with Wart, said. "It is a brutish thing," Wart muttered. The bullman came along for protection, though honestly he was the only one I worried about. Despite his appearance, the Faltor had a kind heart, and who knew how he'd react. "I don't mean you. I meant Fay and Spiff. I know you cow people don't like killing." "Our people mostly use fire," Fay said, "and we call it the cleansing." "Why don't your people just use cold steel? It would be quicker and less painful," Wart said with a frown. "You've got to deserve the sword," I said. "Besides, you can't make bets on who lasts the longest in a beheading." "You bet on? How barbaric." That's it.
All right, perfect timing. Thank you, Todd. Nice work. And we are going to bring up Caitlin Olive, followed by Eileen Descalar and Jeff Ebner. You are on deck. And here's Caitlin. Go ahead and tell us who you are and what you're going to read.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Olive. I am a Chicago-based narrator, and this is a sample from a sports romance called Off Limits, written by Shel Sloan. I hate everything and everyone. I take that back. I hate the sunlight hitting my face right now. I hate champagne. I hate whoever invented hangovers. I hate the thunderstorm that just woke me up. I probably hate more things, but those are the top 4 things right now. Stupid hangover. What I don't hate is this pillow. Or these sheets. How have I never realized my sheets are this soft before? I slowly open my eyes and realize that I'm not in my apartment. Then I remember. I called Cole last night, and not only am I in his room and sleeping in his bed, but by the looks of the t-shirt that I'm currently swimming in, I somehow ended up in his clothes. What the heck happened last night? Good morning, Cole says as I pull the sheets up, trying to hide whatever I can from him. I'm going to need you to take that volume down to like a 3, I say, rubbing the sleep away from my eyes. I figured by now you'd be immune to hangovers, Cole says, but I got you water and aspirin just in case.
All right, perfect timing. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Very nice job. We are moving on to Eileen Descalar right now. Jeff Ebner is following her, and Susan Ellenwood is on deck. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Eileen.
Hi, Eileen Descalar from Los Angeles. I'll be performing Cinder, a YA sci-fi written by Marissa Mayer. Cinder launched up from her chair, nearly toppling over when she forgot about her missing limb. Steadying herself with both hands on the table, she managed an awkward bow. The retina display sank out of sight. Your Highness, she stammered, head lowered, glad that he couldn't see her empty ankle behind the tablecloth. The prince flinched and cast a glance over his shoulder before hunching toward her. Maybe, he pulled his fingers across his lips. On the Highness stuff? Wide-eyed, Cinder forced a shaky nod. Right, of course. How can I... Are you... She swallowed, the words sticking like bean paste to her tongue. I'm looking for Lynn Cinder, said the prince. Is he around? Cinder dared to lift one stabilizing hand from the table, using it to tug the hem of her glove higher on her wrist. Staring at the prince's chest, she stammered, I'm Lynn Cinder. Her eyes followed his hand as he planted it on the top of the android's bulbous head. You're Lynn Cinder. Yes, your High... She bit down on her lip. The mechanic. She nodded. How can I help you? Instead of answering, the prince bent down, craning his neck so that she had no choice but to meet his eyes, and dashed a grin at her. Her heart winced. The prince straightened, forcing her gaze to follow him. You're not quite what I was expecting. Well, you're hardly what I, Unable to hold his gaze, Cinder reached for the android and pulled it to her side of the table. What seems to be wrong with the android, Your Highness?
All right, perfect timing, Eileen. Thank you so much. Very nice job. Next up is Jeff Ebner, followed by Susan Ellenwood, and Veronica Gary is on deck. All right, Jeff, introduce yourself. Go right ahead.
I'm Jeff Ebner. I'm coming to you live from New York City, and tonight I'll be reading some contemporary epistolary fiction, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. Dear Ms. Van Antwerp, here is what happened in June and July. 1. We went on a cruise to Alaska with my sisters. Lauren has a boyfriend and he came. His name is Steve, and I don't like him at all because he only talks about professional football and his job in marketing. My dad pretends to care, but I know he doesn't because Dad doesn't watch sports. I like seeing all the animals. I saw a bear eating salmon in the wild and being outside. I liked how cool it was in summer, and the landscape was simple, which made me feel really peaceful. I didn't like sleeping in the boat, and there were 3 nights when I had freakouts and didn't sleep at all. 2. My mom spent a week in a hospital for people with mental problems, and I didn't see her during that time. I have no idea why she went to the hospital. My dad said she is very tired, but she doesn't look tired. He looks tired, actually. I know nobody goes to a mental hospital because they're tired, so I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with her. But Lauren called me and told me it's hard for my dad when I ask loads of questions, so I haven't. This happened in the beginning of June, before Alaska. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Good timing. Very nice job. Up next, we have Susan Ellenwood, followed by Veronica Gagari, and Desiree Harper is on deck. Go ahead, Susan. Tell us about yourself and your piece.
Hey, everyone. I'm Susan Ellenwood from Bloomington, Indiana. I'll be reading from Grooming Witch of the Iron Ledge, a mystery by Angie Coates. I sighed, defeated. I couldn't even die right. What the hell? My chest hurt so much. Waves of nausea rolled through me. It hurts. It hurts. Why does it hurt so much? We got her. She's back, the male voice said. The ambulance stopped, and the back doors opened. My eyes fought to open, and I saw Jed in a flannel shirt and jeans. Why wasn't he in uniform? Was this a dream? Ange, I'll find out what happened. Don't you worry. I got you, kid. Jed squeezed my hand. She was down for 3 minutes. Smoke inhalation, broken ribs, a contusion to the forehead. Looks superficial. Blood pressure thready, 80/40. The male voice told someone in scrubs. Just let me die, I said weakly. I will literally kick your ass if I ever hear you say that again. Do you hear me? You don't get to check out on me like that. Do you understand? Jed whispered in my ear. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Very nice. Up next, we are bringing up Veronica Gagiri, followed by Desiree Harper and Casey Combest. You are on deck. And here's Veronica. Tell us about yourself and your piece coming up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Veronica Gagiri from Florida's Space Coast, and this is the urban fantasy adventure, A Mark of Death and Darkness by A. Jean. Oh, Miss Quinn, how little you know about what I can do. She's right there. I can hide things in plain sight. Nathaniel gestures lazily toward the center of the room. See? Right there. Tied up. Alive. Well, she was. Until you walked in. Humans are terribly fragile. My jaw tightens in response to the biting edge of his words. I turn to look where he gestured. A chair now sits there. One that wasn't there before, with Piper tied to it. Bloody. Still. Pale as chalk. No, I breathe, my voice cracking. No, Piper! Oh, yes. His voice is thick with delight. Her fear was exquisite, but she was rather fragile. I rush toward her, but a tendril of shadow slams into me, knocking me to my knees. I stare up at her, eyes open but empty, lips blue and her body too still. Something inside me breaks. Piper? I choke. Oh, dear, Nathaniel purrs. Looks like she's truly dead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Veronica. Nice work. All right. We have Desiree Harper up next, followed by Casey Combest, and Melissa Redmond is on deck.
Hi, everyone. My name is Desiree Harper. I narrate under Harper Wild. I am from Southern California, and I am going to be reading from a small town romance, Beneath the Harvest Moon by L.B. Gaines. Lorenzo Tate, look what the dog dragged in. His mouth twitches, but doesn't fully commit to a grin. Still got that sharp tongue, I see. Still got that same truck. He shrugs, running a hand over the back of his neck. What can I say? I'm sentimental. Sentimental. The word digs under my skin and braids there, sharp-edged and unwelcome. I stand, dusting my hands on my jeans, giving myself a second to breathe like I'm not unraveling. What brings you back? I ask. He hesitates, like he might lie, then doesn't. My dad. He had a stroke a few weeks ago. He's fine, but it was enough for me to realize I needed to come back. He's home now, but he's slower. Can't run the hardware store alone. I nod. I remember his dad, Mr. Tate, with his pipe tobacco and quiet lectures about integrity, like they were sermons. He used to slip me popsicles in the summer when I came into the store with my dad. I hadn't heard about the stroke. That's how far Lorenzo had been, not just in miles. And you're staying here to help him out? I ask, like I don't already know the answer. I just needed him to keep talking. For now, he says. Thank you.
All right. Perfect timing. Thank you so much, Desiree. Nice job. Before we get to our final four, I just have to go back and I have to give a shout out to Veronica Gagiri, who is in charge of Pan Academy. So I want to thank her for performing tonight. And also earlier we had a Dreamsmith who is PANA Board of Directors co-chair. So I failed to mention both of them, so I had to shout them out. Up next, Casey Combest, and then we have Melissa Redmond, and Jonathan Todd Ross is on deck. Go ahead, Casey.
Hey y'all, I'm Casey Combest. I am based in Texas, and I will be reading a Christian historical romance by Penny Zeller. Jed passed the meatloaf around the table and then chuckled. Do you remember that time in school on your birthday when Willard brought you a present? Lula's laugh mingled with his. How could anyone forget that? I'd like to forget it, Tilly muttered.
Oh, tell us what Mr. Willard got you for your birthday,
said Theodora. We'll tell you, said Jed, but you best not be getting any ideas.
Us?
Asked JJ.
Nah, Pa, we won't get us any ideas.
Tilly wasn't so sure. Jed chuckled again. He was so confident you'd enjoy the gift. Are you sure he thought she'd enjoy the gift? Giggled Lula. Tilly shivered. She could still see the slithery brown and black snake dangling from Willard's hand when he presented it to her. It was likely her shrieks could be heard all the way to the next town. I think that vexatious Willard meant to hornswoggle me and knew full well I wouldn't revel in receiving a pet snake for my birthday. I was aghast at the entire ordeal.
A pet snake?
JJ's eyes grew twice their size. Theodora tossed her twin brother a warning look.
Like Pa said, don't be getting any ideas, JJ.
Nice work, Casey. Thank you. And also right on time. Another special shout out to board member Rosemary Cline, who read earlier. I don't want to leave her out. Up next, we have Melissa. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your piece.
Hi, my name is Melissa Redmond, and I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I am doing rom-com tonight, Happiness for Beginners by Catherine Center. I crossed my arms. I put anyone but Jake on my list. I know, Beckett said. And then you got Jake. It's not funny. It's a little funny. You gave me Jake because I asked not to have him? He tilted his head. Not exactly. I lowered my voice and leaned in. Hey, unlike you, I do not come to the wilderness every summer. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for me. I have never been here before, and I will never be here again. Or anywhere even similar. And even though I am totally and completely out of my element, I am trying like crazy to make it count. And there was one person I wanted to avoid during the very last week I will ever spend in these mountains. Why the hell did you put me with Jake? Beckett took a breath then and let it out. He took a step closer and leaned in toward my ear. I gave you Jake because you're headstrong and accident-prone, and he's our medic, and I trust him to patch you up. I gave you Jake because you're the best map reader we've got, and he's damn near blind. And I gave you Jake because you absolutely never believe in yourself, and he finds a way to believe in you every damn day.
Thank you, Melissa. Very nice job. All right, as we get to our last two, one more special shout out to Sara Hannan, former board member and also our comms manager right now. So special shout out to her as well. All right, so we have Jonathan Todd up next and following up with Maxwell Zener after him. Jonathan?
Hey guys,
go ahead and introduce yourself. Sorry.
No worries. I'm Jonathan Todd Ross, and I'm in Jersey, and I will be reading We Want to Believe, nonfiction by Adam Hirsch. For people who believe that extraterrestrials have visited the Earth, or who really want to believe it, July 26th, 2023 was supposed to be a historic day. At a hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena, implications on national security, public safety, and government transparency, The Oversight Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives was going to hear evidence from unimpeachable witnesses that UAPs, formerly known as UFOs, have visited the Earth and that the U.S. government knows it. On the subreddit r/UFOs, one of the world's largest UFO forums, with more than 4 million followers, one user marked the occasion with a 23-post series titled, "This is Disclosure. This is it right now," urging people to get ready for the world to change. If you have loved ones, it may be a good idea to begin deciding how you will broach the subject, especially if they are dependents. The 3 witnesses called to testify before Congress had all told their stories before, but now they would be under oath, and the whole world was paying attention. Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot, recounted that when he was flying fighter jets out of Virginia Beach, radar and infrared sensors regularly detected unknown objects operating in our space.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Jonathan. And last but not least, we have Maxwell Zahner up. He will hold up the rear here. Just tell us who you are and what you'll be performing.
Hey, everybody. I'm Maxwell Zahner, and I'm going to be bringing us home with some lit fic. It's from a book called The Red-Headed Pilgrim by Kevin Maloney. My parents had made me a deal. They said they'd buy me a round-trip ticket to Paris and give me spending money so I could traipse around Europe like a wealthy hobo, as long as I promised to come home, choose a career, and spend the rest of my life driving back and forth to work each day, suffering and hating myself. I didn't want a career, but wealthy hobo sounded okay, so I gave all my possessions to the Salvation Army and flew to Paris. Europe was fun. People said things I didn't understand, and I replied with the one French phrase I'd memorized before traveling. Où sont les fromages et les baguettes? Where are the cheeses and baguettes? So I ate baguettes and wandered through the Louvre looking at art and even found Jim Morrison's grave. When I got tired of the city, I took a train to the south of France and found the cobblestone street where Vincent van Gogh painted Café Terrace at night. The sun set, and I sat on the balcony of a youth hostel in Arles, watching rats scamper across the metal rooftops, imagining all the things I was going to do with my life. Now, at 42, I wander through a business park whose aesthetic is make everything look like everything else. I write productive-sounding memos and read emails whose subject lines say things like, SEO 101, top 5 KPIs for effective B2B marketing. I used to make fun of guys like me.
All right, nice job. Thank you very much, Max. And I would like to close us out by giving a big thank you to all of the narrators who performed tonight. This was so entertaining. Everyone did such an amazing job with their performances. Thank you again to Chicago Audiobooks for sponsoring. They helped make this night possible. We hope you enjoyed yourself. I would like to thank our super PANAcon coordinator, Christine Mascott, tech producer, Christopher Johnson, our behind-the-scenes spotlighter, Melinda Cummings, and our YouTube chat monitor, Jennifer Pickens, holding it down for us in the YouTube chat over on the YouTube live page. Don't forget to visit the page if you haven't been there yet, like and subscribe. And if you didn't get a chance to make any comments during the live stream, you can always make comments underneath. If you're watching this later on, don't forget to comment on the superb job that all the people did here. And I'm Corinne Paul. I'd like to thank you again for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to Christine for any final last words.
Everybody did an amazing job tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And have a great rest of your PANAcon week. So good night, everyone. Thanks so much.
All right. See you for the rest of PANAcon week.